Chapter 4858. Yuan Jiuji and Yuan Baji met up, but they didn't realize that there were two groups of people hiding in the other two directions of the mountain range. These two groups of people were the quasi-sage tribe led by Tsang Qiong, and the heavenly human tribe led by the Lord of Heaven of Extermination and the Lord of Heaven of 100 Battles. Back then, after they rushed out of the ancient city, they separated and each found a secret place to hide. But some time ago, the chi vein that Lu Ming and the others were in cracked open. The heavenly abode divine light in the depths of the chi vein rushed out from the ground and into the sky. It could be seen from afar. The quasi-sage tribe and the heavenly human tribe rushed over after seeing the heavenly abode divine light. But when they arrived, they found the primordial light tribe. They were shocked and found a secret place to hide. When they saw another group of primordial light tribe rushing over, they were even more shocked. However, this chi vein was too big. It was much bigger than the ones they had encountered before. It definitely contained a lot of treasures. They were very tempted and didn't want to leave just like that. Although their strength was far inferior to the primordial light tribe, this chi vein was very big and occupied a large area. It wasn't impossible for them to fish in troubled waters and obtain some benefits. Moreover, they had already sent a message to their tribe members and asked them to gather here. When they met up with other experts, their chances of success would be much higher. From the looks of it, Lu Ming and the others escaped into that mountain range. That's why the primordial light tribe has been surrounding them. The Lord of Heaven of Extermination said, "There are layers of array formations in the mountain range. When the primordial light tribe kills their way in, they won't be able to advance or retreat. Only death awaits them." The Lord of Heaven of 100 Battles sneered. "By the way, is there still no news from the ancestor?" The Lord of Heaven of Extermination turned around and asked an old Lord of Heaven. "Not yet. Wait a minute." The old Lord of Heaven shook his head. Suddenly his expression changed. He took out a voice transmission jade talisman and read it. Then he revealed a look of joy. "I got it. The ancestors sent a message. They are attacking a chi vein. As long as they get the treasures inside, they will rush over here. They told us not to act rashly for the time being." The old Lord of Heaven said, "All right, an ancestor is coming? Our confidence? It's much bigger now. Destroy the Lord of Heaven?" Looks of joy appeared on the faces of the Lord of Heaven and the others. He heaved a huge sigh of relief. Against the creatures of the Forbidden Lands? Were they under too much pressure? They were constantly in danger and in fear. With Yi Wuchang, it was as if they had a backbone. In their hearts, no matter how big of a crisis it was, they would never be able to escape. Yi Immortal would lead them through it. Because of Yi Immortal? He was the strongest patriarch in the history of the heavenly human tribe. Another direction? The quasi-saint race was also making preparations. Very soon? Another 3 months passed. Rumbling sounds continued to ring out in this area. On the ground? Huge cracks appeared on the ground as purple paradise god light gushed out from the ground. The mountain where Lu Ming and the others were was almost cracked. The array formations on the mountain were also constantly torn apart and destroyed. Of course, some mountain peaks in the depths of the mountain range were not damaged or cracked. They were still shrouded in terrifying array formations. But it was only a matter of time before they were torn apart and collapsed. It's done. The array formations on this mountain peak have been completely destroyed. It's no longer a threat to us. We can go up now. Yuan Yu, an array master from the primordial light race, said, "It's indeed destroyed." Yuan Baji also brought an array master with him and nodded. "Brother Ba, in order to prevent Lu Ming and the others from escaping, let's split up and attack from 2 sides of the mountain peak. What do you think?" Yuan Jiuji looked at Yuan Baji and said, "That's exactly what I want. This Lu Ming dared to kill the people of my race. Let's see who can kill him. Let's go." Yuan Baji finished speaking. Then he led the experts he brought and rushed to one side of the mountain peak. "Let's go." Yuan Jiuji waved his hand and led a group of experts to the mountain peak where Lu Ming and the others were. Of course, they all avoided those cracks. That was because there was still heavenly light rushing out of those cracks. It was extremely dense and powerful. They did not dare to face it head-on. "They're coming!" On the mountain peak, Lu Ming and the others saw the actions of the primordial light race clearly. They're indeed splitting up. Fortunately, we've made preparations beforehand. Xian Yanqing whispered. Lu Ming is so thoughtful. We've prepared a way out. Wan Shindao said. The two groups of primordial light race attacked from two directions. They definitely could not withstand the attacks by relying on the array formations set up by Dandan. It would be good enough if they could cause some damage to the other party. Lu Ming had already considered this point and had prepared a way out in advance. Let's hide and give them a hard time later, Lu Ming said. His body flickered and Lu Ming and the others hid. Yuan Jiuji led at least 500 experts and rushed towards the mountain peak. Soon, they were close to the mountain peak. At that moment, they had also stepped into the range of the array formations set up by Dandan. Oh no, there's an array formation fluctuation. At that moment, Yuan Yu, the array formation master of the primordial light race, suddenly shouted. You've only just realized that your skills are too low. Rise. Dandan's voice was heard. Then, dense runes appeared on the ground. A huge array formation appeared and shrouded the people of the primordial light race. At the same time, the array formation condensed rays of purple light that were like purple battle swords and attacked the people of the primordial light race. Ah! The screams were heard. Suddenly, more than a dozen people of the primordial light race were killed by the purple sword light. Block it! Block it for me! Yuan Jiuji roared. The people of the primordial light race moved quickly. The rays of light danced and intertwined with each other like a net, shrouding all the people of the primordial light race. There were too many experts there. More than 500 people of the primordial light race joined forces and had an amazing defensive power. They immediately blocked the purple sword light. Humph, it's not that easy to block the array formation that I have spent so much effort to set up. Dandan snorted. After his cultivation had reached the 8th level Divine Master realm, the power of his array formation had also increased. At the same time, this array formation was not complete. It had been set up by Dandan himself. He had combined some of the remnants of the array formation on the mountain peak with his own runes and the runes of the array formation on the mountain peak. It possessed part of the original power of the array formation on the mountain peak. It was many times more powerful than the array formation set up by Dandan alone. Condense! Dandan shouted as her hands moved quickly. The purple sword lights quickly converged and formed a massive battle sword that slashed at the Origin Light Tribesmen. The defensive wall formed by the light beam hair was formed by the Origin Light Tribesmen. Boom! An earth-shattering boom was heard. The rays of light were constantly torn apart and broken. The defensive wall formed by the intertwined rays of light was forcibly broken. A terrifying force rushed in and killed 5 or 6 experts of the primordial light race. Then the huge light sword rushed through the gap and killed its way in. Yuan Jiuji and the others were shocked. Chapter 4859. The light sword formed by the array was so powerful that it broke through the defense of the primordial light clan and killed 5 or 6 people in an instant. It then went straight for Jiao Gongzi's forehead. Yuan Jiuji's face changed drastically. The power of the light sword was too terrifying. He definitely couldn't block it. At the critical moment, 2 figures rushed out and arrived in front of Yuan Jiuji. They were the 2 Guangqin royal envoys beside Yuan Jiuji. The 2 Guangqin royal envoys shouted and their bodies seemed to turn into 2 divine lights as they rushed towards the light sword. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion erupted, unleashing a terrifying force that engulfed a few of the primordial light tribe cultivators in the vicinity, pulverizing them instantly. Even Yuan Jiuji was pushed back rapidly as if he was hit by a huge wave. Then, 2 figures retreated even faster than Yuan Jiuji. They were the 2 Guangqin royal envoys. The light on their bodies trembled as blood flowed out from the corners of their mouths. Ha! Guangqin royal envoys? You have to kneel before me. Dandan laughed proudly. The 2 Guangqin royal envoys were injured. This was definitely an amazing achievement. It would be strange if Dandan wasn't proud. Of course, With Danden's current cultivation, it would be difficult for him to injure the two Guangxin royal envoys so easily even if he had a few months to set up the array. The main reason was that Danden had used the remnant array runes here to greatly increase the power of the array. That was why he could achieve this result. After repelling the two Guangxin royal envoys with one move, Danden continued to control the light sword to attack Yuan Jioji. Set up the formation. Set up the formation. Block their formation. Yuan Jioji shouted as he retreated. Swish. 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 There were a total of 21 Primordial Light clan members. They held battle swords covered with runes and set up a joint attack array to form a huge battle sword. 21 people's joint attack array? Was it Yuan Jioji's strongest force? Was it what Lu Ming and the others were most afraid of? It was this joint attack array that had broken through the ancient city's defense. Clang. The battle sword formed by the 21 people's joint attack array and the battle sword formed by Danden's array? Clashing together? There was an earth-shattering explosion. This time, the light sword formed by Danden's array? Was it blocked? Even the light was somewhat dim. In one go? Had he broken his array? I want them to die. 9 Origin roared. Kill! The 21 people who set up the formation shouted in unison. Full control of the combined attack formation? Take the initiative to attack. It won't be that easy to break my formation. Danden shouted loudly as his hands continuously danced, striking out one rune after another, causing the formation to shine brightly, constantly injecting new power. The radiance of the lightsaber grew brighter again. Clang, 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 2 streaks of sword light constantly collided. Terrifying power was constantly bursting out in all directions. The other members of the Primordial Light tribe did not even dare to set foot in the area, let alone defend themselves. Go and kill them. Yuan Jioji stared at Lu Ming and the others. His eyes were filled with cold, killing intent as he instructed a Guangxin royal emissary. Don't worry, 9th young master. I'll go take their heads. The Guangxin royal emissary, who looked to be in his 20s, spoke indifferently. His figure was like a ray of light as he rushed towards Lu Ming and the others. His light hair was like a sharp sword as it pierced towards Lu Ming and the others. Losers, you still dare to come and fight. Lu Ming shouted coldly. Now that you have one less person, I want to see how you will set up the formation. Guangxin royal emissary sneered. The one less person he was referring to was Danden. Danden was now fully controlling the formation. It was impossible for him to set up the combined attack formation. With one less person to set up the combined attack formation, the power would definitely be reduced by a lot. This was also the reason why he dared to attack Lu Ming and the others. Bone Demon, leave this person to me. I'll go and kill 9th young master. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Bone Demon. Don't worry, leave it to me. I want to test my strength. Bone Demon chuckled and took a step forward. His figure soared into the sky and rushed towards Guangxin royal emissary. The purple gold battle axe had already appeared in his hand. Berserk Demon God Slash. Bone Demon slashed out with the purple gold battle axe in his hand. Suddenly, demonic chi raged. Dozens of demonic blades appeared in the void and slashed in all directions. Guangxin royal emissary's light beam hair was constantly destroyed. Guangxin royal emissary's expression changed drastically. He hurriedly retracted his light beam hair. If he was any slower, he would have become bald. His body glowed and constantly distorted. He turned into a ray of light and finally transformed into a battle sword. The battle sword pierced through the air, ignoring the dozens of demonic blades and directly attacking Bone Demon. Good. Bone Demon sneered. The purple gold battle axe struck out again. This time, it was not dozens of demonic blades, but a single one. It collided with Guangxin royal emissary. Boom. The two exchanged a blow and then retreated at the same time. Your battle strength? No, that's a Genesis technique. You're only a peak divine master. How can you use a Genesis technique? Guangxin royal emissary roared in shock. Bone Demon's battle strength was too terrifying. He was extremely shocked that Bone Demon could match him. What shocked him even more was that Bone Demon could use a Genesis technique. It was because Bone Demon could use Genesis techniques that he could match him. Apart from Genesis techniques, Bone Demon's physical strength was inferior to his. But weren't Genesis techniques only Origin Realm existences able to use? How could a peak Divine Master use one? He wasn't the only one. Yuan Jiuji and the other members of the Yuanguang clan were also extremely shocked. Haha, there are many more things that you'll be surprised about. Come, let's fight to the death. Bone Demon's soul laughed loudly. He charged towards Guangqian Royal Emissary with the purple gold battle axe in hand and used another Genesis technique. Guangqian Royal Emissary unleashed his full strength and charged towards Bone Demon. The two figures engaged in a fierce battle in the void. In an instant, they had exchanged more than a dozen blows, but there was no clear victor. But although there was no clear victor, Bone Demon gradually began to gain the upper hand. In the immeasurable demon abyss, Bone Demon had fused with a skeleton. Its origin was absolutely astonishing. Not only did it make Bone Demon indestructible, but the demonic chi contained in his body was also astonishingly rich. Even if he constantly used Genesis techniques, he wasn't afraid of overdrawing his strength. He relied on his powerful defense to attack with all his strength and slowly began to suppress Guangqian Royal Emissary. Nearby, Yuan Jiuji's expression was extremely ugly as he ordered the other Guangqian Royal Emissary to deal with Bone Demon. Lu Ming stepped forward and blocked Guangqian Royal Emissary's path. Your opponent is me. You, a mere 8th-level Divine Master, don't overestimate yourself. Guangqian Royal Emissary was called Yuan Han. As he spoke, a beam of light shot towards Lu Ming like a sharp sword. Underestimating me? Very well. The corners of Lu Ming's mouth curved in a cold smile as anticipation filled his eyes. After comprehending the 3000th ancient secret technique, his forbidden power had undergone a qualitative change. He also wanted to know if his current battle strength could match a Guangqian Royal Emissary. The battle character art instantly activated 9 times his battle strength. Forbidden power frantically circulated throughout his body. Lu Ming's hand reached out and accurately caught a beam of light from Yuan Han's hair. Chapter 4860. Lu Ming grabbed a strand of Yuan Han's hair. No matter how hard Yuan Han tried, the strand of hair didn't move at all. What's going on? Yuan Han was shocked. Before he could react, he felt a terrifying force surging from the strand of hair, trying to drag him out. If he didn't react, he would fall flat on his face. Damn it, break! Yuan Han had no choice but to roar and cut off his own hair. Only then did he get rid of Lu Ming. Swish! The next moment, Lu Ming appeared above his head like a stream of light. The war god's spear was as huge as a mountain and pressed down on him. The terrifying might made the muscles all over Yuan Han's body start trembling. Holy light heavenly void slash! Yuan Han roared. Multicolored light rushed out of every pore on his body and condensed into a battle sword above his head. At the same time, a battle sword appeared in his hand. It was obviously a source-level divine weapon. The multicolored light and the source-level divine weapon converged and then soared into the sky, colliding with the war god's spear. There was a shocking explosion. Lu Ming's figure retreated, but Yuan Han was in the same situation. His body shook violently as he retreated continuously, creating more than a dozen large pits on the ground. Your combat strength, how can it be so strong? Yuan Han roared in shock. Not far away, Yuan Jiuji's eyes almost popped out. His face was full of disbelief. Lu Ming could actually contend with Yuan Han head-on. How was this possible? Lu Ming's cultivation was clearly at the 8th level of the Divine Master realm and hadn't broken through. How could his combat strength soar? He felt that his brain had short-circuited. He really couldn't figure it out. Again! Lu Ming's eyes lit up. His fighting spirit surged and his confidence increased. He felt that the previous royal envoy's combat strength was nothing more than this. Heaven-breaking style. This time, Lu Ming used the heaven-breaking style. A terrifying spear light stabbed out. Wherever the spear light passed, the void seemed to evaporate. Holy light heavenly dragon slash! Yuan Han roared. He also erupted with a terrifying killing move. He fought against Lu Ming. A huge light dragon? He rushed towards the spear light. This time, Yuan Han was at a disadvantage. After the light dragon and the spear light collided, what happened? Violent tremors? Then it collapsed. Yuan Han retreated, barely avoiding Lu Ming's spear light, but he felt a stabbing pain in his chest. What if he had been a little slower? His chest was about to be pierced by the spear light. The power of the heaven-crushing technique? So strong. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He was greatly excited. Was his guess right? After successfully comprehending the 3,000th ancient secret skill. Not only had the taboo energy undergone a qualitative change, but even the secret technique he had comprehended, the heaven-crushing style, had undergone a qualitative change and become even more terrifying. The power of the heaven-splitting style increased greatly? What about the prehistoric style? Boom! Lu Ming directly struck out with his palm. A gigantic continent was formed. It pressed down on Yuan Han. The mountains and lakes above were clearly visible, as if it was a real world. Furthermore, an ancient and primeval aura effused out. It was heavy like the universe, and it carried the brilliant might of the heavens as it pressed down towards Yuan Han. Before the continent pressed down, Yuan Han already felt a huge pressure. Break for me, break, break. There was no way to retreat. The huge continent was finished. It completely enveloped Yuan Han, and he could only face the attack head-on. Yuan Han raised his battle strength to the peak, and his entire body turned into a light sword, fusing with the origin grade divine weapon as one. He turned into a sword light and rushed towards the continent. Boom! Another earth-shattering rumble sounded, and the continent shook violently. Cracks appeared on it, but it did not shatter. Instead, the sword light that Yuan Han turned into trembled non-stop, and it was densely covered with cracks. Then, with a bang, it exploded. Yuan Han's body retreated rapidly, but what welcomed him was a terrifying spear light. Heaven-crushing style. When Lu Ming cast the prehistoric move, he had already cast the heaven-breaking move. After Yuan Han was sent flying, the heaven-breaking move followed. Ah! Yuan Han let out a hysterical roar, feeling the approach of death. He resisted with all his strength, but it was useless. His body was penetrated by the spear light, and a terrifying power erupted from Yuan Han's body, blasting him into 5 or 6 pieces. Even his soul was torn apart. However, Yuan Han did not die. His broken body turned into a stream of light, rapidly retreating, and condensed in the void again. However, his aura was a lot weaker, and his face was pale as if he had been seriously ill. What a strong vitality, what a strong soul. Lu Ming's face was also very solemn. If it was an ordinary creature, such as a celestial race expert, their soul would be torn apart by his move, and they would definitely die. But Yuan Han was actually fine. One had to admit that the vitality and soul of the people of the Primordial Light clan were unbelievably powerful. However, no matter how strong they were, after being hit by Lu Ming's move, they were also seriously injured, and their combat strength was greatly reduced. How could Lu Ming miss such an opportunity? He planned to use this opportunity to get rid of Yuan Han. This was a former Guangqin royal envoy. Even the Primordial Light clan did not have many of them. Getting rid of one would be a great blow to the other party's strength. Swish! Lu Ming rushed out and began to kill. Set up the formation to stop him. 9 Origin roared. There were only 2 former Guangqin royal envoys by his side, and they were his right-hand men. Nothing must happen to them. Swish! Swish! The remaining Primordial Light clan members began to set up the formation. 3 array formations with 9 people and 7 array formations with 7 people were all set up and charged toward Lu Ming. Heavenly demon territory. 9 apertures in 1. Illusory light pillar. Xian Yanqing, Qiuqiu Autumn Moon, and Qiuqiu also made their moves, trying to stop the formation. However, there were only 3 of them and they were still far from enough. However, at this moment, Dandan and the 21 People's formation had won. After so many moves, the 21 Primordial Light clan members who set up the formation had consumed a lot of their strength. At this time, some of them finally exhausted their strength, causing the formation to collapse. As for Dandan, he had continuously controlled the formation and had consumed a lot of his strength. Although most of the formation's power came from absorbing the power of heaven and earth, the person controlling the formation would also consume his strength. If Dandan had not broken through and was still a 6th-level divine master, he would not have been able to withstand it. Now that he was an 8th-level divine master, he did not have much strength left, but he still had a little strength left. He waved his hands, and the formation condensed dozens of sword lights that shot toward the Primordial Light Clan's formation. Lu Ming, I'll block them for you. You killed that Guangqin royal envoy. Dandan shouted. Lu Ming did not answer. He told everyone with his actions. Boom. The desolation form was used again, and another continent was formed and pressed down on Yuan Han. At the same time, the sky-breaking form was used again. 2 killer moves, a pincer attack, attacked Yuan Han from both sides. Ninth young master, save me. Yuan Han shouted in horror. Facing Lu Ming's 2 killer moves, he would not be able to resist even if he was at his peak, let alone now that he was severely injured. Chapter 4861. Damn it, Yuan Zhuji kept roaring but didn't dare to stay. He quickly retreated because he was afraid of being enveloped by Lu Ming's chaos style. Even though he was far away, he could feel the terror of the chaos style and the hair on his skin stood on end. He had a feeling that if he was hit by the chaos style, he would be killed even with his vitality. He wanted to save Yuan Han, but he was powerless. At this moment, a roar came from the other side of the mountain. Niney Origin's face revealed a look of wild elation and he roared, "Eighth brother, quickly come over, quickly come over." Yuan Baji led his men and charged over from the other side of the mountain. The battle between Lu Ming and Yuan Zhuji and the others might seem long, but it didn't take much time. Their attacks were as fast as lightning and dozens of moves only took a few breaths. Streams of light flew over from the other side of the mountain. There were 2 figures flying at the front. They were astonishingly fast and exuded a terrifying aura. Lu Ming was unmoved. He continued to attack Yuan Han with his killer move. This time, Yuan Han couldn't resist and let out a shrill scream. His body was smashed into powder and his soul was completely obliterated. This time, he was completely dead. A Guangqin royal envoy, an expert comparable to Gu Changfeng, was killed just like that. Great. Dandan and the others were excited. The people of the Primordial Light Clan felt a chill in their hearts. Guangqin royal envoy? It was said that he was invincible as long as his origin source didn't appear. He could even contend with weaker origins. Such an existence? In a one-on-one situation? He was killed? This was unbelievable. Moreover, the one who killed him was an 8th-level divine master? If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they wouldn't believe it even if they were beaten to death. My battle prowess is a little stronger than I thought. Lu Ming pondered. Forbidden power, a self-created secret technique? A qualitative change happened? A surge in power? After he unleashed his combat strength to the peak? Finished. He could suppress a Guangqin royal envoy. Of course. Why was he able to kill him just now? It was also because the other party was a little careless that he seized the opportunity to severely injure him at the beginning. If the other party was a little more cautious, it would not have been that easy for him to deal a heavy blow to the other party. There was another reason. Lu Ming's Battle God Spear was of a higher grade than the opponent's source-level divine weapon. This would also give Lu Ming an advantage. But overall, Lu Ming's combat strength? He had already surpassed the other party. Such combat strength? Under the origin, he was almost invincible. You're courting death. At this moment, in another direction, a furious roar was heard. The 2 experts flying at the very front each unleashed a killing move. 2 rays of light of different colors shot towards Lu Ming and the others. Block it. Dandan bellowed as he tried his best to control the formation to block the 2 attacks. But in the end he was only able to block 1 attack. The other attack flew towards Lu Ming. The War God's spear vibrated and swept out horizontally, colliding with this ray of light. However, Lu Ming's body was also greatly shaken and he was forced to retreat. Ambassador Guangqian, Lu Ming's heart trembled as his expression turned solemn. On the other side, Dandan controlled the formation to block the other ray of light, but Dandan's body was also forced to retreat. The surrounding rune formation's light dimmed. After a series of battles, the energy of the formation set up by Dandan was about to be exhausted. Go! Lu Ming shouted and rushed towards Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, and the others, gathering with Autumn Moon and the others. Bone Demon also repelled his opponent with one move and retreated to Lu Ming's side. Bone Demon originally had the upper hand in the battle. It was naturally easy for him to retreat. After they gathered, they directly rushed towards the depths of the mountain peak. Kill, kill, don't let them escape, kill them for me. Yuan Jiuji roared crazily. A Guangqian emissary was killed right in front of his eyes. He was on the verge of going crazy. Since he was called the 9th young master, he knew that he had many brothers and sisters. There was also a huge competitive relationship between them. He had worked hard to win over the 2 Guangqian royal envoys. They were his capital to compete with his brothers and sisters. Now, one of them had been killed. This was a huge loss. His heart was bleeding. If one wanted to nurture or rope in a Guangqian Wang envoy, the price one had to pay was frighteningly high. Sush, sush. The Yuanguang tribe launched a frenzied attack on Lu Ming and the others. On the other side, Yuan Baji led the experts to attack Lu Ming and the others. The ordinary attacks of the Yuanguang tribe were easy to deal with. Lu Ming and Bone Demon were able to block them one by one. However, there were 3 attacks that posed a great threat to them. Even if Lu Ming and Bone Demon went all out, it would be difficult to block them. These 3 people were the 3 Guangqian ambassadors. One was beside Yuan Jiuji and the other 2 were beside Yuan Baji. Fortunately, the Bone Demon relied on its perverted defense to block the attack. As they blocked the attacks, they flew towards the depths of the mountain peak, which was the depths of the mountain range. The depths of the mountain range were still covered with terrifying array formations that had not been torn apart yet. The cracks in the ground had not extended to this place yet. This was the escape route they had thought of before. Dandan had also studied this place. They planned to use the array formations here to resist the Yuanguang tribe. Nestle, the 3 Guangqian ambassadors, there are too many experts among the creatures in this forbidden area. If they attack the Heaven Destroyer's base, we will not be able to stop them at all. Dandan exclaimed in shock. Lu Ming and the others were also shocked. The number of experts in the Yuanguang tribe was far beyond their imagination. There were only so many of them, but there were already 4 Guangqian ambassadors. There were at least 20 or 30 Guangqian ambassadors who were comparable to the Lord of Heaven. This kind of combat strength was far beyond that of the heavenly human tribe. Among the heavenly human tribe, only the Yi Immortal was comparable to the Guangqian ambassadors. In the Heaven Destroyer, only Gu Changfeng was comparable. The difference was too great. If the Yuanguang tribe was so powerful, the other creatures in the forbidden area, such as the Baleful Yin tribe and the Blue Sea tribe, were probably not much weaker. Although they were few in number, their combat strength was far beyond that of the Heaven Destroyer or the heavenly human tribe. If they were not afraid of the Origin Realm, they would have attacked the Heaven Destroyer's base long ago. Tang Jun said. Lu Ming and the others were well aware of this. Under the Great Origin Tribulation, Origin Realm existences had sealed themselves in a deep sleep to avoid the Great Origin Tribulation. However, this did not mean that they could not awaken and fight. Origin Realm existences could also remove their seals and fight. However, the price for doing so was death. Once Origin Realm existences removed their seals and fought, it would not take long for their origin root to be sucked away. Their cultivation level would drop, and they might even die. Moreover, under the Great Origin Tribulation, once they removed their seals, they would not have a second chance to seal themselves. In other words, once they removed their seals, there would only be one outcome, the dissipation of their origin root. Under normal circumstances, no Origin Realm existences would do this. However, if it was a matter of life and death, this was not necessarily the case. Chapter 4862. In a moment of life and death, such as when the Heaven Destroyer was about to be destroyed, someone in the Heaven Destroyer's core would definitely release the seal and sacrifice themselves to kill the enemy. That was why the beings of the Forbidden Grounds didn't attack the heavenly human race, the quasi-immortal race, or the Heaven Destroyer's base. They were afraid of the Origin Realm experts. In the past, the heavenly human race had defeated the demons because the demons' core was sealed in the dark cosmos. After that, the heavenly human race had attacked the Heaven Destroyer's base. Lu Ming and the others guessed that the heavenly human race had most likely brought Origin Realm experts with them. After all, the heavenly human race had brought many war chariots and stood guard in the distance. There were most likely Origin Realm experts in the war chariots. Otherwise, the heavenly human race wouldn't have been so bold as to attack the Heaven Destroyer's base. As long as the Heaven Destroyer had an Origin Realm expert who released the seal, the heavenly human race would most likely have an Origin Realm expert who released the seal as well. If the Heaven Destroyer's core hadn't awakened, the heavenly human race naturally wouldn't have allowed it to awaken. Once it did, only death would await it. The primordial light race had 3 Guangqian royal ambassadors and some other terrifying combination formations. Lu Ming and the others felt a huge pressure. It was all thanks to Lu Ming and Guemo that they blocked the attacks of the primordial light race. As they blocked the attacks, they retreated. Soon, they left the mountain and went to another mountain. When they arrived at another mountain, Dandan took the lead and charged forward. The mountain was still covered in terrifying formations. However, Dandan had already studied them and found a way out of the formations. This was a way out that they had found long ago. Lu Ming and the others followed Dandan into the formation. Soon after, the attacks of the primordial light race arrived. However, the surrounding formations immediately appeared and turned into a terrifying killing force that destroyed the attacks one by one. The primordial light race rushed to the front of the formations and stopped again. They didn't dare to advance any further. Haha, come and hit us if you have the ability. Dandan hooted. Damn it. Yuan Jiuji roared furiously. His face was incomparably ferocious and cold. On you, break the formation for me. 9 Origin roared. 9th young master, I can't do that. Yuan Yu lowered her head and said, what a trash. Yuan Jiuji berated, but he slowly calmed down. He was also clear that Yuan Yu did not have this ability. Otherwise, they would not have had to wait a year. 8th brother, do your people have a way to break the formation? Yuan Jiuji then looked at Yuan Baji. Yuan Baji asked the array formation master he had brought, but the result was that there was no solution. Although we can't break the formation, this chi vein will eventually collapse. Moreover, it won't be long before these mountains are all destroyed. When that time comes, those formations won't be able to help them. Origin Baji said, we can set up formations in the cracks in front and use the formations to bombard the cracks and speed up the collapse of this meridian. In less than 2 months, this mountain will also be torn apart. Yuan Yu said, all right, I'll leave it to you. Yuan Jiuji nodded. Immediately, Yuan Yu and the other array formation masters retreated and began to set up formations in the huge cracks behind them. Not long after, the formation began to emit a dazzling light, pushing the cracks, causing the rumbling sounds to become more and more intense. The cracks extended forward, and in just 10 days, it extended to the mountain where Lu Ming and the others were. Rumble! The cracks split open, and the heavenly light rushed out from the ground, forming a destructive force that constantly attacked the formation above. Bang! 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 The sounds of explosions continued to be heard, and the rune formations continued to explode and break. Halfway up the mountain, Lu Ming and the others looked a little solemn. They were trapped. Dandan, can you do it? It won't be long before this mountain is torn apart. Wanshin urged. Once the formation was gone, they would have to fight the primordial light race head-on. Although their battle strength had skyrocketed and they had a 10-man joint attack formation, they were definitely no match for the primordial light race. The primordial light race had 3 Guangqian royal ambassadors and a joint attack formation. For example, the 21 people's joint attack formation was very terrifying. Yuan Baji most likely had such a terrifying formation around him. If they were to fight head-on, they would most likely die. However, they were trapped. They were trapped by the formation here. What do you know? This formation is constantly changing. It's different from when I was studying it before. I miscalculated. Dandan glared at Wan Xin and then continued to study it. However, they were still trapped and could not break out for a few days. The rumbling sounds from the ground became more and more intense, and more formations on the mountain were being torn apart. The huge cracks continued to approach Lu Ming and the others. Ah, it seems like they are trapped. They brought this upon themselves. Yuan Jiuji could also see that Lu Ming and the others were in trouble and could not help but be excited. In the blink of an eye, another 2 days passed. Alright, I've finally finished studying it. Wait a moment. Follow me closely. Don't relax. Dandan shouted and began to wave his hands, sending out tens of thousands of runes. These runes formed rune threads that wrapped around some of the surrounding formation runes. Then, Dandan's body flickered as he rushed forward. Lu Ming and the others followed Dandan's footsteps without the slightest deviation. Soon, they had advanced a few hundred meters. Everything was going smoothly. They were about to break out of the formation. As long as they broke out of the formation, Dandan would be able to take Lu Ming to the peak of the mountain. Perhaps they would be able to escape from the other side of the mountain and shake off the primordial light race. However, at that moment, something strange happened. A pitch-black vortex suddenly appeared beside Xian Yanqing. It emitted a terrifying devouring power that tried to swallow Xian Yanqing. Not good. This formation is actually hiding something. Be careful. Dandan let out a startled cry. That vortex's power was extremely terrifying. Xian Yanqing was unable to block it. He was about to be swallowed up. Little Qing. Lu Ming was incomparably anxious. He didn't have time to think about anything else. He pushed the extreme light arc to its peak and charged at Xian Yanqing. In an instant, Lu Ming appeared in front of Xian Yanqing. A powerful taboo energy crazily surged out, pushing Xian Yanqing away from the vortex. However, his body was sucked into the vortex and rapidly sucked into it. It was too fast. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming had disappeared into the vortex. After Lu Ming disappeared, the vortex also quickly disappeared. Lu Ming! Xian Yanqing cried out in grief, incomparably anxious and panicked. Autumn Moon, Ling Yue, Wan Shun, and the others were the same. End of chapter. Chapter 4863. Everyone, don't panic. That whirlpool shouldn't be lethal. It's not a killing array. Lu Ming should be fine. Dandan said. Should be? Are you sure? Wan Shun's eyes widened. I'm sure. That whirlpool should be a teleportation formation. Lu Ming might have been teleported somewhere else. Wan Xin is willing to bet that he'll be fine. Let's leave this place first. Perhaps we'll meet Lu Ming on the other side of the mountain. Dandan said. Everyone was helpless. They could only suppress their worries and follow Dandan. Nothing happened after that. They successfully broke through the formation. The formation behind them would not change at any time. Dandan led the group and successfully broke through. There were also some buildings on this mountain peak. Unfortunately, they did not encounter any statues like the previous mountain peak, nor did they obtain any fortunate encounters. They arrived at the other side of the mountain. Dandan began to study the formation, preparing to break through and shake off the primordial light tribe. In the blink of an eye, another 3 days passed. Rumble. Suddenly, there was an earth-shattering roar. The entire mountain shook violently. The heavenly abode light that rushed out from the cracks became even denser. Even the roar of a beast could be heard from the depths of the ground. At this moment, everyone's expression changed greatly. Why would there be a beast roar coming from the depths of the meridian? Could there be a terrifying beast living in the depths of the ground? A few roars came from the depths of the ground. Then the entire meridian shook even more violently. The cracks grew bigger and the formation on the mountain was collapsing rapidly. Boom! Then, a giant beast rushed out from the ground along with the heavenly abode light. The giant beast was purplish gold. It was completely formed by the heavenly abode light. The heavenly abode light here is so dense that it formed a beast. Be careful. You can't fight against this giant beast. The primordial light tribe was shocked. They quickly retreated and looked for a place to hide. On the other side of the mountain, Xian Yanqing, Guamo, and the others were also shocked. They instinctively sensed danger and quickly looked for a place to hide. The giant beast formed from heavenly abode divine light roared and swooped down. Streaks of heavenly abode divine light rushed out from its body, and they were even sharper than divine blades as they bombarded the ground. Boom! Boom! The ground rumbled and shattered rocks flew everywhere. Huge craters were formed on the ground. The cracks in the surrounding area were blown even wider. As for those spirit formations, they were also being destroyed by the heavenly paradise divine light. Other than the few mountain peaks in the center of the Chi Meridian, everywhere else was a scene of destruction. This giant beast did not seem to have any intelligence. It only knew how to attack continuously. After a while, the giant beast finally came to a stop. At this point, the beast's body was much more illusory than before, and it was completely dim. Finally, with a bang, it turned into a ball of heavenly abode light and vanished. "Come, let's get out of here." Dandan immediately rushed out from a pile of rocks. Soon after, Xian Yanqing and the others also rushed out and followed Dandan. Originally, this side of the Chi Meridian was also filled with powerful spirit formations. However, after being bombarded by the heavenly abode divine light earlier, the majority of the spirit formations had been destroyed. Only a few spirit formations remained. With only a few spirit formations remaining, they were naturally not a problem for Dandan. Of course, there were also a few spirit formations that were still intact. As long as they avoided them, they would be fine. Soon, Dandan, Xian Yanqing and the others disappeared from the Chi Meridian. At this moment, a figure appeared on another mountain peak. This person was none other than Lu Ming. Earlier, he had been sucked into the vortex. In the next instant, he had arrived on another mountain peak. This Chi Meridian had over a dozen majestic mountain peaks. In the depths of the mountain range, there were a few mountains that were the tallest and most majestic. Earlier, they had not been destroyed by the giant beast formed from heavenly abode divine light. As for the other mountain peaks, they had all been destroyed. The spirit formations on them had all become incomplete. Furthermore, the cracks were spreading rapidly, as if they were about to tear these mountain peaks apart. No one knew how deep these cracks were. They were like deep abysses that extended all the way to the depths of the earth. The entire Chi Meridian looked like it was on the verge of collapse. Originally, when Lu Ming had been transported to this mountain peak, there had been a large number of spirit formations around it. However, these spirit formations had all been reduced to fragments. However, Lu Ming was not Dandan. His attainments in spirit formations were far inferior to Dandan's. Thus, he still had to be more careful. After all, even some incomplete spirit formations could sometimes unleash frightening attacks. If he was not careful, he would be hit. However, at least he would not be as hard-pressed to move as before. Little Qing and the others are with Dandan. They should be fine. I'll go to the top of the mountain to take a look. Lu Ming looked at the top of the mountain. There were also some buildings on the top of the mountain. Lu Ming had tasted the sweetness of success on the first mountain peak. Naturally, he wanted to try his luck here. At the same time, the people of the primordial light race also appeared from various hidden places. The spirit formations have all been destroyed. Good. Lu Ming, let's see where you can go now. Yuan Jiuji said coldly. Then he and Yuan Baji led the experts of the primordial light race and rushed forward. There were two places around the Chi Meridian. The people of the Quasi-Saint tribe and the heavenly human tribe were hiding there. They had naturally seen what had happened on the Chi Meridian. Almost all the spirit formations on the Chi Meridian have been destroyed except for a few mountains in the deepest part. This Chi Meridian must contain a great opportunity. We can't miss it. Let's go over too, Song Qiong said. At this moment, the number of people of the Quasi-Saint tribe here had reached more than 6,000. Over the past year, more and more experts of the Quasi-Saint tribe had come to join them. Song Qiong's confidence had also increased a lot. Song Qiong was very clear about the strength of the Quasi-Saint tribe. They were not afraid even if they encountered the primordial light race. Moreover, the range of the entire mountain range was very large. There were more than a dozen mountain peaks spanning hundreds of thousands of miles. Even if they entered, they might not necessarily encounter them. Let's go! Song Cheong led the experts of the Quasi-Saint tribe and rushed towards the Chi Meridian from another direction. Annihilation, should we go over too? In another direction, the Lord of Heaven of 100 Battles asked the Lord of Heaven of Annihilation in a low voice. The Lord of Heaven of Annihilation's eyes flickered. He was a little hesitant. During this time, the Yi Immortal had not come to join them. Although another group of people of the heavenly human tribe had come to join them, their strength had not increased by much. There were only 7 of them who were as strong as the Lord of Heaven of Annihilation. If they encountered the experts of the primordial light race, it would be very dangerous. But in the end, the Lord of Heaven of Annihilation decided to take a risk. There is definitely a great opportunity here. If we are overcautious, the gap between us and the others will only widen. Moreover, this place is very large. We might not encounter the primordial light race. If we are careful, we should be fine. The Lord of Heaven of Annihilation said. In the end, the people of the heavenly human tribe carefully rushed towards the Chi Meridian from another direction. End of chapter. Chapter 4864. After some careful research, Lu Ming finally arrived at the top of the mountain after some time. There were some majestic palaces at the top of the mountain. Lu Ming entered and walked around. However, he was disappointed because he did not find anything. There were no precious treasures left behind, nor were there any statues like the ones from before. Lu Ming felt that it was a pity when he thought of the 4 mysterious statues. Before they left, they wanted to take the 4 statues with them. Although they would lose their effect after some time, they could still give them to others. If they brought them back to the base of the Heaven Destroyer and let the people of the Heaven Destroyer study them, their secret skills would be greatly improved. Unfortunately, the 4 statues seemed to have taken root and could not be moved. Even with the ancient desolation ring, they could not be taken away. In the end, they could only give up. They thought that there would be treasures in the other mountains, but they did not expect to find anything in this mountain. It seems that we can only find something in the depths of the realm energy channels. Lu Ming muttered. However, there was a lot of heavenly abode divine light rushing out from the depths of the realm energy channels. After walking around and finding nothing, Lu Ming headed to the other side of the mountain. He rushed to the mountain where they were trapped by the array formation. He was more worried about Xian Yinqing and the others. Now, except for the few mountains in the depths of the realm energy channels, the array formations on the other mountains were destroyed. The people of the primordial light race had swarmed in. If Xian Yinqing and the others were surrounded by a large number of primordial light race experts, they would be in great danger. Lu Ming broke through some of the array formations and soon arrived at the foot of the mountain. He was about to go to the other mountains when he suddenly sensed something and moved sideways. However, it was too late. There was an ear-piercing sound around him. Then there was a sharp sword light. To be precise, it was a beam of light that stabbed towards Lu Ming. Obviously, it was the primordial light race. Get lost! Lu Ming shouted. The battle god's spear had already appeared in his hand. He swept out and a huge spear light formed an arc. It swept in all directions. Rumble! The spear light was incomparably overbearing. Bringing about a violent force, it swept out in all directions, causing those beams of light to grow hair. They were all sent flying. Lu Ming? This time? Today is the day of your death. A cold voice sounded. Yuan Yu. Lu Ming narrowed his eyes slightly. Hearing the voice? Lu Ming knew who it was. Was he one of the 2 King of Light envoys by Yuan Jioji's side? The King of Guangqian who looked to be in his 20s? Yuan Yu. Previously, he had chased after Lu Ming and the others and was injured by the joint attack formation set up by Lu Ming and the others. Lu Ming's gaze swept over and discovered that Yuan Yu was stepping in the air, his gaze extremely cold. Later, Yuan Yu wasn't the only one from the Yuanguang clan. There were also hundreds of other primordial light race experts. Inside? This included the 2 war envoys below the king. You think you can do it? Can you kill me? Lu Ming sneered. A hint of disdain appeared at the corner of his mouth, which made the murderous intent in Yuan Yu's eyes even more intense. He had previously boasted in front of Yuan Jiuji and the other primordial light race members that he would take Lu Ming's head. However, he had been defeated by Lu Ming several times, so he was extremely unhappy. This time, he had led his men to search everywhere, but he had encountered Lu Ming alone. This was a rare opportunity. Lu Ming was alone, so he couldn't set up a joint attack formation. Although Lu Ming's combat strength was extremely terrifying and was almost on par with Yuan Yu's, he wasn't alone now. Set up the formation. Yuan Yu shouted coldly. As soon as Yuan Yu's voice fell, the figures of some primordial light race members flickered and set up a joint attack formation. 2 joint attack formations of 9 people were led by a war envoy below the king. The others were all peak divine masters and formed 2 giant battle swords. Lu Ming's face darkened slightly. The power of a joint attack formation of 9 people was already very terrifying. In addition, the people who set up the formation were very powerful, so its power was undoubtedly even more terrifying. It was no wonder that Yuan Yu was so confident even though he knew that Lu Ming was very powerful. The rest of you, assist in the attack. Kill. Yuan Yu shouted coldly as his body emitted a dazzling glow. It was as if his entire body had turned into a ray of light as he rushed toward Lu Ming. As he rushed out, his body turned into a battle sword. The 2 battle swords formed by the joint attack formation of 9 people also attacked Lu Ming from 2 other directions. 3 giant battle swords stabbed at 3 vital points of Lu Ming from 3 different directions. The violent sword chi had yet to reach Lu Ming, but it seemed as if it would tear Lu Ming apart. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly as the power in his body exploded to the peak. Boom! In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming struck his palm and a piece of land condensed. Primordial desolation style. Now that Lu Ming's control of the primitive style had increased greatly, the primitive continent formed was very clear, as if it was real. Moreover, this continent was erected vertically like a huge shield. It rushed toward Yuan Yu and one of the joint attack formations of 9 people. Lu Ming did not expect to cause much damage to his opponent with this move. He only hoped to block his opponent. After using the primitive style, Lu Ming immediately used the heaven-piercing style, turning into a dazzling spear light that pierced toward the other joint attack formation of 9 people. Relatively speaking, although the joint attack formation of 9 people was powerful, equivalent to several of the strongest Lord of Heaven's battle strength, it was still not comparable to the Guangqian Wang envoy. Therefore, Lu Ming instantly decided to use the joint attack formation of 9 people as a breakthrough point. Clang! The dazzling spear light collided with the sword light head-on, erupting with a shocking roar and stirring up a sky full of energy. In the next moment, the sword light formed by the joint attack formation of 9 people trembled and then retreated violently. The light seemed to have dimmed somewhat. Kill! Lu Ming shouted. His figure did not stop and he continued to charge toward the other party. In the process of charging out, there were tens of thousands of light spots on his body that were emitting a dazzling brilliance, just like stars. Then, tens of thousands of light spots rushed out continuously. They were all different secret techniques that smashed toward his opponent. Lu Ming, on the other hand, continued to use the heaven-piercing style to attack his opponent. He wanted to break his opponent's joint attack formation in one go. His opponent was disrupted by a large number of secret techniques and could not avoid them. He could only take them head-on. "You're courting death!" Yuan Yu roared furiously. Together with another 9-man combined attack array, he had already defeated the primeval style and charged toward Lu Ming. "Let's go all out." Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a ruthless look, and layers of defensive secret techniques appeared behind him. That's right, Lu Ming was prepared to take his opponent's attack head-on. Bang! Lu Ming's spear light once again pierced the joint attack formation of 9 people. This time, the joint attack formation of 9 people could not block Lu Ming's attack. The condensed battle sword exploded with a bang, and 6 figures retreated violently. That's right, only 6 figures, because 3 of them had been torn apart by Lu Ming's attack. Their bodies and souls had been destroyed. Chapter 4865. But at this moment, Two frightening sword glows struck Lu Ming. The defenses that Lu Ming had laid down were shattered layer by layer. In just a flash, all of the defenses that Lu Ming had laid down were destroyed. The two sword glows stabbed at Lu Ming. Bang! Lu Ming's body was sent flying and divided into 3 parts. However, Lu Ming did not die just like that. His vitality was astonishing, and his soul was scattered throughout his cells. As long as all of his cells were not destroyed, he would be able to recover. The 3 parts of his body quickly reconnected and began to recover with astonishing speed. Thick energy surged out of each of his cells, allowing Lu Ming to recover very quickly. As he recovered, he retreated, his face somewhat pale. 1/10 of my cells have been destroyed. Lu Ming was inwardly alarmed. The human body had 60 trillion cells. In other words, that attack just now had obliterated 6 trillion cells. From this, one could see just how terrifying the combined attack of Yuan Yu and the other 9 was. My cultivation is still too low, and my defense is still too low. It's a pity that little ball isn't here. Lu Ming's mind was racing. After all, he was only an 8th-tier god lord. Although his fighting strength was unparalleled, Lu Ming's strong suit was not his defense. He was not much stronger than an ordinary person. At most, he was comparable to a peak god lord. If Little Ball had been here, the soul-level armor that Little Ball had transformed into would have been able to block the majority of the attacks, and Lu Ming would not have been so heavily injured. He's still not dead? Yuan Yu and the others widened their eyes in shock. Yuan Yu was keenly aware of just how powerful that attack just now was. Let alone a mere 8th-tier god lord like Lu Ming, even an expert on the level of the Lord of Heaven would most likely perish if struck by such an attack. But Lu Ming had managed to endure it. What sort of freakish vitality was this? Continue attacking. I don't believe that his life is infinite. Yuan Yu roared as he continued to call on the others to attack. At the same time, he charged at Lu Ming. Die all of you, Lu Ming shouted. Then he threw a palm at the sky. Suddenly, a huge continent appeared in the sky. On the continent, mountains and lakes are clearly visible. There were streaks of colorful clouds that connected the entire continent. This kind of rosy clouds could be said to be the embryonic form of the Great Tao. What if Lu Ming cultivated the primordial desolate stance to a higher level and struck out with his palm? A condensed continent? There were even great Taos that connected, and it was as if a real great world was pressing down on the enemy. Furthermore, there might even be living beings appearing on it, acting out the joys and sorrows of separation. But at that level? Had it already reached an unimaginable level? How far away was Lu Ming? There was still a huge gap. But even now, the primitive style that Lu Ming displayed with his full strength? Its power was already extremely shocking. The continent was incomparably large, covering the sky and covering the sun. It appeared above everyone's heads, and then it suddenly pressed down. Let's attack together and destroy this continent. Yuan Yu roared. Thousands of strands of hair shot into the sky, like sharp swords. It pierced towards the mainland. Was it another array formation with 9 people attacking together? It turned into a shocking giant sword and slashed upwards. The other members of the Primordial Light clan also activated their strands of hair. The dense strands of hair pierced into the sky, and the scene was extremely spectacular. Rumble. The primitive continent was under a terrifying attack, and it kept shaking and exploding. However, there was still a terrifying impact. Some of the weaker members of the Primordial Light clan couldn't withstand the impact at all, and their bodies were torn apart. Even though the members of the Primordial Light clan had extremely strong vitality, those who were weaker than Lu Ming were too weak. They were torn apart by the terrifying impact and died. At least 30 members of the Primordial Light clan were killed in an instant. Lu Ming. Yuan Yu let out a hysterical roar and became one with the sword, completely turning into a light sword. It broke through the void and instantly charged towards Lu Ming. Fast, it was too fast. The members of the Primordial Light clan were known for their speed, and Yuan Yu's attack was even faster. It instantly closed in on Lu Ming. Buzz. Lu Ming waved the Battle God Spear and whipped it towards Yuan Yu. There was a loud bang and Lu Ming was pushed back. His body shook violently and the blood in his body was in turmoil. Previously, Lu Ming had been severely injured and 1/10 of his cells had been destroyed. He was still greatly affected, and his combat strength was not at its peak. The sword gleams transformed from the 9 people's joint attack array immediately launched an attack, slashing Lu Ming from the sky. Lu Ming blocked it with his spear, but he was still pushed back. Then, Yuanyu's attack came again. The attacks of the array formation and Yuanyu were endless, and they continued to press down on Lu Ming. If Lu Ming was at his peak, he would definitely be able to block it. However, his strength was greatly affected now, and he felt that it was very difficult for him to withstand the attacks of the two. He blocked and retreated at the same time. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind Lu Ming and launched a thunderous attack. This was a battle envoy below the king level. His combat strength was comparable to the strongest Lord of Heaven. He was originally the core of the 9-person array formation. Previously, when the array formation was destroyed by Lu Ming, this person had been hiding in the surroundings, waiting for an opportunity to attack. At this moment, Lu Ming was suppressed and was unprepared. He immediately seized the opportunity and launched his strongest attack. Lu Ming did not dodge this attack, nor did he want to dodge. Because if he wanted to dodge this attack, he would not be able to dodge the attack of Yuanyu and the 9-person array formation. Compared to Yuanyu or the 9-person array formation, he would rather take the attack of a battle envoy below the king level. The sword light of the battle envoy pierced Lu Ming's heart. A terrifying power erupted and shattered Lu Ming's heart. If a normal person's heart was shattered, they would be severely injured even if they did not die. However, for Lu Ming, it was the same all over his body. There were no particularly obvious vital points. Therefore, although his heart was shattered, the impact was not great. When he was attacked by the battle envoy below the king level, Lu Ming had already used the primeval desolation style to condense a continent in front of him. After his heart was pierced, Lu Ming did not stop at all. Instead, he threw out a punch with a backhand. This battle envoy below the king level obviously did not expect that after Lu Ming's heart was shattered, he would be completely fine and could even launch a counterattack in an instant. He was stunned for a moment, but his fate was sealed. Boom! Lu Ming's fist fiercely smashed the head of the battle envoy below the king level, causing his head to explode. The terrifying power directly annihilated his soul. A battle envoy below the king level had fallen just like that. Bam! At this moment, Lu Ming's primeval desolation style exploded. A terrifying sword light struck Lu Ming. Lu Ming retreated rapidly, but he was still a step too late. His body was almost split into two, and a terrifying wound appeared. Lu Ming vomited a large mouthful of blood. His figure retreated rapidly and rushed in a direction. Chapter 4866. With Lu Ming's current combat strength, it was still too much for him to deal with these Yuan Guang tribe members. If he went all out, he would have no problem suppressing a Guangqin imperial envoy. If the other party was careless, he might even be killed by Lu Ming. Previously, one of Yuan Jiuji's Guangqin imperial envoys, Yuan Han, had died at the hands of Lu Ming. However, Yuan Han was killed by Lu Ming more or less because of his carelessness. To be honest, a Guangqin imperial envoy would not be killed so easily even if he was no match for Lu Ming. In addition, there were 2 powerful 9-man joint attack formations attacking Lu Ming together. Lu Ming was naturally no match for them. To be able to kill dozens of people under such a siege, including a king-level imperial envoy, was already an amazing combat strength. At this time, Lu Ming's combat strength was not at its peak and was no longer comparable to Yuan Yu's. If he did not leave now, when would he leave? Chase him, don't let him leave. Yuan Yu roared. His body was like a ray of light as he chased after Lu Ming. The 9-man joint attack formation turned into a sword light and chased after Lu Ming. As for the others, they followed far behind. Lu Ming's combat strength was too terrifying and they really did not dare to get too close. Lu Ming, you won't be able to escape. Yuan Yu shouted coldly. Thousands of light beams turned into thousands of sharp swords and stabbed at Lu Ming. The speed was so fast that the void was pierced and the whistling sound resounded through the sky. Boom! Lu Ming turned around and slapped out a palm. It turned into a huge continent and blocked behind him like a shield. At this time, Lu Ming's combat strength was not at its peak. The continent's power was also not at its peak. After being stabbed by hundreds of thousands of swords, it was immediately pierced with holes and then exploded. I've used up too much of my strength. Lu Ming's face was a little gloomy. Although the power of the heaven-breaking form and desolation form had increased greatly, the power consumed when using them had also increased correspondingly. Just now, Lu Ming continuously used the heaven-breaking style and desolate style, which consumed a lot of his energy. At this time, more than half of Lu Ming's taboo power had already been consumed. If this continued, Lu Ming's situation would become more and more unfavorable. He had to shake off Yuan Yu and the others as soon as possible. Let's go up the mountain and use the broken formation there. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He turned around and rushed towards the mountain peak that he had just descended from. Around the mountain, there were still many broken formations left. Although these formations were broken, it did not mean that there was no danger at all. Some of the broken formations still retained a terrifying power. Previously, Lu Ming had studied it carefully and spent a lot of time before he managed to pass through the array area. Although his attainments in formations were far inferior to Danden's, it took him some time to memorize some of the broken formations that still possessed terrifying power. Lu Ming intended to use these broken formations to block Yuan Yu and the others so that he could escape. They had been at the foot of the mountain, so they quickly rushed to the array formation area. Lu Ming's figure changed and rushed past a broken formation that still possessed terrifying power. Lu Ming knew that there was a powerful broken formation here, but Yuan Yu and the others did not. They did not have the time to carefully identify it. Therefore, when Yuan Yu rushed over, he naturally triggered the broken formation. The broken formation was suffused with multicolored light. A part of the runes appeared and turned into dozens of purple blade lights that slashed towards Yuan Yu and the others. Yuan Yu's face changed drastically. His light beam hair danced wildly and formed an impenetrable defense in front of him. Bang! The purple blade lights slashed at Yuan Yu's light beam hair. Yuan Yu's light beam hair was constantly chopped off. Yuan Yu's body was also blocked. At the same time, the combined attack of the 9 people was also blocked by the purple blade lights. As for the other primordial light race members, because they were far behind, they weren't attacked by the broken formation. Otherwise, who knew how many of them would have died? Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lu Ming charged forward and quickly approached the mountain peak. "Go around this broken formation," shouted Yuan Yu. He rapidly retreated, dodging the sharp light of the broken formation. Then he chased after Lu Ming from another direction. The combined attack of the 9 people was the same. Unfortunately, this mountain peak still possessed terrifying broken formations. There was more than one. In their rush to chase after Lu Ming, they were led into holes several times by Lu Ming and were attacked by the broken formations. After being blocked several times, Yuan Yu and the others completely lost track of Lu Ming. Damn it, damn it. Standing at the top of the mountain and looking at the empty surroundings, Yuan Yu roared furiously, his face extremely distorted. He had suffered at the hands of Lu Ming time and time again. This time, he had even lost a battle envoy. Yuan Yu's mood was terrible. He wanted nothing more than to cut Lu Ming into pieces. At this time, Lu Ming had already left this mountain peak and appeared on the side of another mountain peak. Lu Ming's face was a bit pale, and he couldn't help coughing up blood. With a plop, Lu Ming sat on the ground, looking extremely dispirited. However, Lu Ming's gaze was still bright. He looked in a certain direction and shouted, "Who is it?" Lu Ming, what a coincidence. I didn't expect to run into you here." A cold laugh rang out. Then, a group of people appeared. They were actually from the heavenly human race. The one leading them was the Lord Extermination of Heaven. Beside the Lord Extermination of Heaven were 2 other experts on the same level as the Lord Heaven. However, the Lord Heaven of 100 Battles was nowhere to be seen. Obviously, the heavenly human race had split up. Extermination, so it's you. Lu Ming said coldly. Lu Ming, you seem to be seriously injured. However, your strength is really beyond my expectations. You actually managed to escape from so many experts of the Primordial Light Clan. Your speed of improvement is really frightening. I really can't let you live. The Lord Heaven of Extermination said. His eyes were emitting cold killing intent. He and the other two experts on the same level as the Lord Heaven slowly surrounded Lu Ming. You saw everything just now? Lu Ming pretended to be shocked and asked. Of course. I happened to see it not far away, so I set it up here in advance. The Lord Heaven of Extermination smiled. You want to kill me with just the few of you? Lu Ming sneered. I have to admit that if you were at your peak, we wouldn't be able to kill you. However, I saw how seriously injured you were in the previous battle. It's already a miracle that you're still alive. How much strength do you still have? The Lord Heaven of Extermination sneered. Is that so? Why don't you try? Lu Ming said calmly. The Lord Heaven of Extermination couldn't help but hesitate when he saw Lu Ming's calmness. Lu Ming's combat strength was too terrifying. In the previous battle, Lu Ming was able to contend with the Guangqian Wang envoy. Such combat strength was simply shocking. During the battle at the Heaven Destroyer base, Lu Ming had killed 3 of the Lord Heaven's strongest experts and displayed his terrifying combat strength. Later on, Yi Immortal speculated that Lu Ming shouldn't be able to use his strength at will. It might even be difficult for him to use it. The Lord Heaven of Extermination also came to this conclusion after many tests. Could they have guessed wrongly? End of chapter. Chapter 4867. Could they have guessed wrongly? Lu Ming's real combat strength had always been so terrifying. Had he been faking it all along? Had he been pretending to be weak all along? Even if he was faking it, he was seriously injured by the Primordial Light Tribe. It's a miracle that he didn't die from such injuries. He's just hanging on by a thread. He definitely doesn't have much power left. The Extermination Lord of Heaven warned himself. However, he was still unsure. He then looked at a tall and burly figure. It was a primordial divine spirit puppet. The heavenly human tribe originally had 2 divine spirit puppets and their combat strength was comparable to the Lord of Heaven. However, one of them had self-destructed and now there was only one left. The Extermination Lord of Heaven was cautious and he did not dare to step forward because of his doubts. He controlled the primordial divine spirit puppet and let it step forward. Bam! The primordial divine spirit puppet took a step forward and its body grew rapidly. Its body was filled with various kinds of powerful energy. These energies combined in a strange way and formed a chaotic and terrifying energy. Kill! The primordial divine spirit puppet roared and threw out a punch. The huge fist crushed the void into chaos and the giant fist was like a small mountain as it flew towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression did not change. The divine battle spear had already appeared in his hand. He performed the sky-piercing form and the spear struck the primordial divine spirit puppet's giant fist. The divine battle spear was sharp and indestructible. It broke through the chaotic energy of the primordial divine spirit puppet and pierced through its giant fist. Blood, flesh and bones splattered and the primordial divine spirit puppet could not help but retreat. Lu Ming flew forward and swept the divine battle spear across the primordial divine spirit puppet's body. The primordial divine spirit puppet's body shook violently as it retreated. Lu Ming launched a storm of attacks. The primordial divine spirit puppet was no match for Lu Ming. The difference was huge and it was completely crushed. Even if it was a puppet that was not afraid of death, it was useless. After 10 moves, with a bang, the primordial divine spirit puppet's body was swept away again. It flew out horizontally and almost broke into 2 halves. A few heavenly humans couldn't dodge in time and were hit by the primordial divine spirit puppet. Their bodies directly exploded and the courtyard collapsed on the spot. As for the primordial divine spirit puppet, it was lying on the ground, motionless. It was already half destroyed. All of the heavenly human tribe cultivators gasped in shock. Your battle prowess, how is this possible? The Extermination Lord of Heaven roared in horror. His eyes were filled with fear and panic. The primordial divine spirit puppet had a combat strength comparable to the strongest Lord of Heaven, yet it had been crippled by Lu Ming in about 10 moves. Such combat strength was simply terrifying. It didn't look like it had been seriously injured and was struggling at death's door. He was clearly a demon king. Extermination, I will kill you today. Lu Ming's cold figure was heard. His murderous intent was as cold as a knife. He stepped in the air and a powerful aura pressed down on the Lord of Heaven. The Lord of Heaven's face turned pale and a chill ran down his spine. He turned around and left without hesitation. He was as fast as lightning. It's too late to leave now, Lu Ming said coldly. He stepped out and rushed toward the Lord of Heaven like a ray of light. Previously, the Lord of Heaven had targeted him several times and wanted to harm him. At that time, Lu Ming had tolerated it because it wasn't a good time to strike. Now there was no need. This time he had to get rid of the Lord of Heaven. Although Lu Ming had been severely injured in the battle with the Primordial Light Tribe, it was not as serious as the Lord of Heaven and the others had imagined. Firstly, his vitality was extremely tenacious. His soul was scattered in every cell and it was difficult to destroy it all at once. Secondly, Lu Ming's recovery speed was also extremely terrifying. Although it hadn't been long, he had already recovered a lot. Although his remaining combat strength was not on par with experts at Yuan Yu's level, if he went all out, it was still very easy to deal with the strongest Heaven Monarch level existence. Previously, it only took him about 10 moves to cripple the primordial divine spirit puppet. In just a few breaths, Lu Ming caught up with the Lord of Heaven. Lu Ming, the heavenly human tribe, the quasi-sage tribe, and the Heaven Destroyer are in a cooperative relationship. You can't kill me. The Lord of Heaven roared in horror. Ridiculous! Lu Ming said indifferently. The war god's spear suddenly pressed forward. The spear light surged like a mountain and pressed down on the Lord of Heaven. I'll fight you to the death. The Lord of Heaven knew that Lu Ming wouldn't let him go. He roared as if he had gone crazy and erupted his strength to the extreme. The divine weapon in his hand was also a source-level divine weapon. He injected all the origin energy he controlled into the weapon and blasted it with all his strength. Clang! An earth-shattering explosion erupted. Next, Extermination Heaven Monarch's body shook violently. His body was sent flying like a broken sack. He crashed into a huge boulder and smashed it into pieces. He vomited a large mouthful of blood. One of his arms that was holding the source-level divine weapon was twisted and deformed. His bones were broken inch by inch. However, people like the Lord of Heaven also had astonishing vitality and recovery ability. As long as his soul wasn't destroyed, the injuries on his body could be quickly healed. Crackling sounds could be heard from his arm as his muscles wriggled and quickly recovered. Kill! Lu Ming took advantage of the situation and charged forward, not giving the Lord of Heaven time to recover. Ghost God dance! The Lord of Heaven shouted. His body flashed and flashed like a ghost. Obviously, he was far inferior to Lu Ming in a head-on confrontation. He wanted to use his movement technique to fight Lu Ming. However, he had miscalculated. He struck out with his palm and used the Desolation style. It formed a continent that covered a large area and enveloped the Lord of Heaven. Boom! On the continent, a powerful force erupted. The earth rumbled and some places kept exploding. The Lord of Heaven was also hit by the powerful force. He couldn't help but slow down. He used all his strength to fight against the continent. He slashed out an earth-shattering attack on the continent. Although the continent shook violently, it didn't break open. Although Lu Ming's combat strength wasn't at its peak, and the Desolation style wasn't at its peak, it wasn't something that the Lord of Heaven could easily defeat. As if struck by lightning, the Lord of Heaven fell to the ground. Lu Ming took the opportunity to stab out with his spear and pierced the Lord of Heaven's heart. The Lord of Heaven was severely injured. He spat out a large mouthful of blood and his aura was a little weak. Quick, come and help me. Come and help me deal with this Lu Ming. The Lord of Heaven roared. This was because he found that when Lu Ming attacked him, no one from the heavenly human tribe came to help. Instead, they fled in panic. Including the old Lord of Heaven. Annihilation, you block him first. We'll retreat first. Your sacrifice won't be in vain. We'll report it to the patriarch and let him avenge you. Let's go, let's split up. The old heavenly monarch roared. He didn't stop and quickly flew away. End of chapter. Chapter 4868. This old and strongest Lord of Heaven was wearing a golden armor. He was one of the 9 strongest Lord of Heaven of the heavenly human tribe. He had fought with Lu Ming at the Heaven Destroyer base before. Back then, 4 of the strongest Lord of Heaven cooperated with Yi Qiuxian to kill Lu Ming. In the end, 3 of the strongest Lord of Heaven were killed by Lu Ming, leaving only 1 of them alive. The old and strongest heaven monarch who was lucky enough to survive was the one in front of him. Therefore, he was traumatized by Lu Ming. Whenever he saw Lu Ming, he would tremble with fear. At this moment, when he saw Lu Ming displaying such terrifying combat power, the scene of the battle at the Heaven Exterminating Army's camp surfaced in his mind. He did not dare to stay and fight. He could not wait to run as far away as possible. The other heavenly human tribe members did not dare to stay and ran away with all their might. Even the strongest Lord of Heaven could not withstand a single blow. If they stayed, wouldn't they be courting death? You damned bastards! Seeing the heavenly human tribe members running away, the Lord of Heaven of Extermination let out a desperate roar. Hee, looks like no one can save you. Lu Ming laughed and stabbed with his war god's spear continuously. Lu Ming, if you want to kill me, you'll have to pay the price. Let's die together. The Lord of Heaven of Extermination roared with a vicious look in his eyes. His body emitted a dazzling light and a terrifying aura spread out. The Lord of Heaven of Extermination was going all out. He was burning his origin energy crazily and preparing to self-destruct at the same time. He's holding back. Looks like he doesn't want to self-destruct at all. Lu Ming's lips curled into a mocking smile. Although the Lord of Heaven of Extermination was burning the origin energy in his origin seed, he did not really want to self-destruct. He was holding back. Obviously, he did not want to die. Boom. Swoosh. Lu Ming used the Chaos form and the Sky-breaking form consecutively to attack the Lord of Heaven of Extermination. After a few moves, the Lord of Heaven of Extermination was hit again and half of his body exploded. This time, the Lord of Heaven of Extermination was too severely injured. His aura was weak and his face was pale. Even his soul was greatly damaged. Even if he went all out and burned his origin energy, he was still no match for Lu Ming. Ah, let's die together, let's die together. Extermination Heavenly Lord roared crazily. The aura that was exuding from his body became even more terrifying. This time, the Lord of Heaven of Extermination finally decided to self-destruct. He knew that he would definitely die and it would be difficult for him to escape. In his desperation, he wanted to drag Lu Ming down with him. Dazzling light burst out of his body and his body began to swell. Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly, but he did not stop attacking. He threw out another palm and a piece of land was formed, pressing down on the Lord of Heaven of Extermination. The Lord of Heaven of Extermination was in complete despair. Originally, he did not intend to self-destruct completely. He wanted to see if he could scare Lu Ming. If Lu Ming saw him self-destruct and quickly retreated, then he could stop the self-destruction and take the opportunity to escape. Unfortunately, Lu Ming did not plan to escape at all. He did not stop attacking. The Lord of Heaven of Extermination let out a hysterical roar. His body quickly swelled and then he completely self-destructed with a boom. The power of the self-destruction of the Lord of Heaven of Extermination was very terrifying. The violent power swept in all directions, trying to devour Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming was prepared. When the Lord of Heaven of Extermination was about to self-destruct, he was ready to use the greater teleportation technique. The moment the Lord of Heaven of Extermination self-destructed, Lu Ming had already used the greater teleportation technique. The void rippled and Lu Ming's figure disappeared from the spot. The next moment, Lu Ming appeared on a flat ground thousands of miles away. Phew, I'm lucky. I didn't enter a dangerous place. Lu Ming breathed a sigh of relief. Lu Ming did not dare to use the greater teleportation technique here unless it was necessary, because he could not guarantee where he would be teleported to. This place was full of terrifying formations. If he were to teleport into a formation, he would not even know how he died. Even though most of the formations on the various peaks were destroyed, there were still many remaining formations with amazing power. If he were to teleport into the remaining formations, it would be very dangerous. Lu Ming would not use the greater teleportation technique unless he had no other choice. However, the power of the self-destruction of the Lord of Heaven of Extermination was too terrifying. Even if Lu Ming was injured, it would be very dangerous if he was swept away, because the destructive power was likely to destroy all of Lu Ming's cells in an instant. Fortunately, Lu Ming was lucky and did not teleport to a dangerous place. Swoosh! Lu Ming moved and rushed towards the place where the Lord of Heaven of Extermination self-destructed. The Lord of Heaven of Extermination had a source-grade weapon. Given the quality of a source-grade weapon, it would not be destroyed even if it self-destructed. A source-grade weapon was extremely valuable. Lu Ming did not want to miss out on it. Soon, Lu Ming returned to the place where the battle had taken place. He saw that there was a huge crater. Everything in the crater had been vaporized. Only the weapon lay quietly in the middle. As for the Lord of Heaven of Extermination's storage ring, it had been destroyed in the self-destruction. Lu Ming waved his hand and put away the Lord of Heaven of Extermination's source-grade weapon. Then, his body flashed and he left the place. Such a huge commotion would definitely have alerted others. The people of the Primordial Light Tribe would most likely catch up with him soon. Indeed, not long after Lu Ming left, Yuan Yu arrived with experts. However, they had lost track of Lu Ming long ago. By now, Lu Ming had already appeared in a secluded place and was absorbing the energy of the primordial crystal to recover. As the energy of the primordial crystal was absorbed and refined, Lu Ming recovered quickly. New cells started to divide. In just half a day, Lu Ming's 6 trillion cells that had been destroyed had all recovered. Another half a day later, Lu Ming's power had returned to its peak. After recovering, Lu Ming continued on his way. He headed towards the mountain peak where Xian Yanqing and the others had parted ways. However, when Lu Ming arrived, he did not see Xian Yanqing and the others. Given their strength, they should be fine. Lu Ming pondered this. Among Xian Yanqing and the others, the Bone Demon's combat strength was comparable to the Guangqin Imperial Envoys. Furthermore, they had a joint attack formation. As long as they did not encounter a large group of people from the Primordial Light Tribe, they should be able to self-destruct. Next, Lu Ming passed through 2 more mountain peaks. Boom! Suddenly, Lu Ming heard a violent explosion. Then, a dazzling light shot up into the sky. A huge battle had broken out on a mountain peak not far away. That is, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. This was because he could sense the aura of perfect heaven's power within the light. Ye Immortal! Lu Ming immediately determined that it was the Yi Immortal. This perfect heaven's power was extremely condensed. It far surpassed Yi Qiuxian's perfect heaven's power. In this paradise, only the Yi Immortal could control such perfect heaven's power. Demonic Qi. It's the Bone Demon. Then, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He could sense the Bone Demon's demonic Qi within the light. Chapter 4869. Lu Ming could sense the demonic aura of Bone Demon. Demonic aura and perfect power of heaven were constantly clashing against each other. It was obvious that Bone Demon and Yi Immortal were fighting. If Bone Demon was there, Xian Yanqing and the others were most likely there as well. Lu Ming transformed into a streak of light and rushed toward the battlefield. Halfway up the mountain where Lu Ming was heading, an intense battle was taking place. Bone Demon and Yi Immortal were engaged in an intense battle. Bone Demon's defense was invincible and his body was indestructible. He ignored his defense and attacked with all his might. However, Yi Immortal wasn't weak either. Yi Immortal was covered in a battle armor. This battle armor was a top-grade source-grade divine weapon armor and its defense was astonishing. At the same time, Yi Immortal was also wielding a top-grade offensive source-grade divine weapon. It could be said that he had no weakness and was locked in battle with Bone Demon. In fact, Bone Demon was slightly at a disadvantage. Clearly, Yi Immortal had also had a fortuitous encounter during this period. Although his cultivation was still at 9th tier Divine Master realm, his strength had increased. His blood was boiling like a primordial beast. His perfect power of heaven had also become more condensed and integrated with his physical body. His overall combat strength was stronger than before. Coupled with a set of top-grade source-grade divine weapon armor, his overall combat strength had already surpassed Guangqian emissaries like Yuan Yu. It was also because of Bone Demon's powerful defense that he was able to fight Yi Immortal. If it were any other expert of the same level, they would be even more defeated. On the other side, there was also a huge battle. Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Dandan, Bubbles, Ling Yue, Tang Jun, Wan Xin, and Qiu were gathered together. They were surrounded by a formation that protected them. This formation was set up by Dandan by combining the remnants of the formation here. Its defensive power was extremely strong. They relied on this formation to resist the attacks of the Heavenly Human Tribe. This was because the Heavenly Human Tribe's offensive power was too strong. They actually had a joint attack formation. A 9-man array formation. Indeed, the Celestial Clan's 9 Lord of Heaven level individuals laid down a 9-person joint attack formation. Its power was extremely terrifying. Dandan and the others had set up a combined spell formation, but they were no match for the combined spell formation of the Heavenly Human Tribe. The Heavenly Human Tribe's 9-man joint attack formation was something that Yi Immortal and the others had obtained from the Purple Heaven Grotto Heaven. It was an ancient joint attack formation that was extremely powerful. Moreover, the Celestial Race's formation was formed by 9 Lord Heaven, all of them peak God Lords. All 9 of them had the same cultivation, so they were able to perfectly execute the combined formation. Dandan and the others' joint attack formation was no match for their opponents. It wasn't that their joint attack formation was inferior, but that they only had 8 people, 1 less than their opponents. Furthermore, the 8 of them had different cultivation bases. Among them, Qiu was a peak Divine Master. Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, was a 9th level Divine Master. Ling Yue, Dandan, Bubbles, Wan Xin and Tang Jun were all 8th level Divine Masters. In order to fully unleash the combined formation's power, it was best if the people who set up the formation had the same cultivation base. If their cultivation bases were uneven, it would be very difficult for the formation to reach its peak. This was why Dandan and the others had been unable to match the combined formation of the Heavenly Human Tribe. Most importantly, the Heavenly Human Tribe's 9-man joint attack formation didn't have just 1, but 2. Thus, Dandan and the others were quickly defeated. At the crucial moment, Dandan combined the remnants of the formation here and used it to temporarily block the Heavenly Human Tribe's attack. However, this was only something Dandan had set up temporarily with the remnants of the formation here. Its power was limited, and it couldn't hold on for too long. At this moment, the formation was constantly trembling, as if it would collapse at any moment. Today I'll kill all of you. When I bring your heads to Lu Ming, I wonder what kind of expression Lu Ming will have. In the 9-man joint attack formation of the Heavenly Human Tribe, a Lord of Heaven sneered. That's right. Lu Ming killed Annihilation, so we'll use the people Lu Ming cares about the most to pay tribute to him. We'll let Lu Ming know what regret is. The Lord of Heaven of 100 Battles also spoke coldly. He stood to the side and didn't make a move. Clearly, Yi Immortal and the others already knew that the Lord of Heaven of Annihilation had been killed by Lu Ming. When Lu Ming killed the Lord of Heaven of Annihilation, the people who had fled in all directions had already reunited with Yi Immortal and the others. Yi Immortal's gaze was also very cold. He had just arrived when he heard that the Lord of Heaven of Annihilation had been killed by Lu Ming. This made his desire to kill Lu Ming extremely strong. Not long after, they encountered Xian Yanqing and the others. He naturally wouldn't let them go. Annihilation deserved to die. Let me tell you, if Lu Ming can kill Annihilation, he can also kill you. You'll die at his hands sooner or later. Dandan hooted from within the formation. Sword of the Heavenly Human, Yang Annihilation. Berserk Demon Divine Blade. Yi Wuxiu and Guimo both unleashed their Genesis techniques. Their Genesis techniques continuously clashed in the air, instantly clashing countless times. Then, both figures retreated at the same time. A corpse from the previous era should have been buried forever in the ruins. Now I'll send you to sleep. Ye Immortal's cold voice rang out. Then, the space between his brows glowed and an invisible ripple rushed out towards Guillermo. Guillermo immediately retreated as if he had been struck by lightning. The demonic chi on his body trembled. His soul had suffered a terrifying attack. Your weakness is indeed your soul. Then die. Ye Immortal's eyes lit up. The light between his brows became even more dazzling as he continued to launch his soul attack. Ye Immortal was a reincarnated person. His soul was shockingly powerful, while Guillermo had a weakness. His soul was in his eye sockets and had no defense. Although Guillermo's soul wasn't weak, it was still very easy for him to be attacked without any defense. Kill! Bone Devil roared, wanting to take the initiative to attack. But as he charged out, he was struck by Yi Wuchen's soul attack. His body shook violently and he retreated. The devil chi on his body faded, and his aura weakened. BZZ BZZ. Ye Immortal launched a few more soul attacks. Guillermo's aura weakened even further. His soul was like a candle in the wind that could be extinguished at any time. Guillermo, quickly enter the array. Don't fight him head-on. Xian Yanqing shouted. It was obvious that Guillermo wouldn't be able to hold on for long if this continued. His soul would be completely destroyed. When that happened, no matter how tough his bones were, it would be useless. Guillermo turned around and charged towards Xian Yanqing and the others. You won't be able to escape. Kill. Ye Immortal shouted coldly as he quickly chased after Guillermo. At the same time, he used his Genesis technique, Destruction of the Sun. A sun appeared and shone brightly. Every ray of light was a ray of sword chi that enveloped Guillermo. Clang, clang, clang. Guillermo's body was hit by a series of attacks. His body was immediately stopped in its tracks. Chapter 4870. The formation Dandan and the others were in let out a cracking sound. The formation could no longer withstand the attacks and was about to collapse. Guillermo, Dandan and the others were now in grave danger. Activate the two formations together and defeat them. Ye Immortal ordered. At the same time, he increased the intensity of his attacks on Guillermo. He used Genesis techniques to block Guillermo's attacks and then used spirit attacks to attack him. As Ye Immortal's voice faded, 9 more heavenly human race experts flashed and set up a formation. These 9 members of the heavenly human tribe were all heavenly lords. They were all at the peak of the divine master realm, and each of them had a heart protection mirror on their chests. These heart-protecting mirrors were the carriers of their formations. Dense runes appeared on the surface of the 9 heart protection mirrors. The runes intertwined and connected into a single entity before transforming into a warrior clad in golden armor. The golden warrior wielded a golden battle sword and slashed at the formation where Qiuqiu and the others were in. The combined power of the two formations was too strong. Dandan and the others' formation couldn't withstand it at all. It collapsed after a few moves. Then, the 2 golden warriors charged at Dandan, Xian Yanqing and the others. The terrifying power made everyone's expression change drastically and their hearts turn cold. Qiuqiu, Xian Yanqing, and Qiuqiu Moon tried their best to resist, but they were too weak compared to the combined attack of the 9 heavenly human race experts. With just one move, they were sent flying. They coughed up large mouthfuls of blood and were severely injured. It's over. I haven't reached the peak of the universe yet. I don't want to die. Dandan screamed. Swish. At this moment, a spear light pierced through the void and stabbed at one of the golden warriors at an astonishing speed. The spear light was so fast that the golden warrior couldn't defend himself in time. Boom. The spear light pierced the golden warrior's head. However, the golden warrior's defense was also very shocking. He managed to block the spear light, but his body was sent flying. He crashed into a mountain rock and shattered a large piece of it. Swish. A figure appeared in the void. This figure was naturally Lu Ming. When he arrived, he saw that Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, and the others were injured. In a fit of rage, he swung his war god spear and sent a golden warrior flying. Following that, Lu Ming swung his war god spear horizontally, striking another golden warrior. With a loud boom, the golden warrior was sent flying and crashed into a mountain rock. What a powerful joint attack formation! Lu Ming's eyes narrowed slightly. This was also a 9-man joint attack array formation. However, Lu Ming felt that the 9-man joint attack array formation of the heavenly human tribe was actually stronger than the one of the primordial light tribe. However, this wasn't hard to understand. The primordial light tribe's combined attack array formation had probably been refined by them, while the heavenly human tribe's combined attack array formation had probably been obtained from the purple heaven hollow. It was obviously more advanced and mysterious. Even joint attack arrays with the same number of people could be divided into different levels of strength. When Lu Ming had faced the 9-man joint attack array of the primordial light tribe, he had been able to break the opponent's array formation with a single blow. However, he hadn't been able to break the heavenly human tribe's combined attack array formation. Lu Ming. When they saw Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Dandan, and the others, they were all overjoyed. Ah, Lu Ming, you finally made it. Let's *CK them up. Dandan shouted. Little Qing, Autumn Moon Ye, are you guys all right? Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing and the others with concern. We're fine. Lu Ming, hurry up and save Senior Bone Devil. He can't hold on for much longer. Xian Yanqing hurriedly sent a message to Lu Ming. At that moment, Lu Ming's gaze was fixed on Yi Immortal. His eyes were filled with a strong desire to fight and killing intent. Swoosh! Lu Ming turned into a stream of light and charged towards Yi Immortal, thrusting out his battle god spear. He immediately used the sky splitter form. Given Lu Ming's current strength, Yi Immortal's face turned grave and his heart thumped wildly in his chest. He couldn't be bothered to continue attacking Bone Devil. Instead, he brandished his sword and unleashed a Genesis art. Boom! Their attacks collided, producing a deafening explosion. Violent shockwaves swept out in all directions. Lu Ming didn't stop attacking after his first attack. He unleashed the primordial desolation form again. A continent formed and pressed down on Yi Immortal. Sword of the heavenly human, destruction of the sun. Yi Immortal unleashed another powerful Genesis art. Dazzling rays of light enveloped the entire area. Endless sword chi swept across the sky, attacking indiscriminately. In the end, both the primordial desolation form and Lu Ming were blocked. However, Yi Immortal's expression was extremely grave and ugly. After several exchanges, Yi Immortal realized that he was inferior to Lu Ming in terms of offensive power. How was this possible? Yi Immortal had lived for countless years, but he had rarely encountered such a situation. Lu Ming was only an 8th-layer divine master. Moreover, he didn't know any Genesis arts, but his battle prowess had already reached such a level. It was simply unbelievable. This was only possible when one's foundation and talent had reached an unimaginable level. It would have made sense in the primordial desolation continent of the previous era. After all, there were simply too many monsters back then. He had seen even more monstrous geniuses with even more shocking talents. But in this era, it was simply too unbelievable. Yi Immortal is only SOSO. Lu Ming's eyes were bright and brimming with confidence. Back in the Halo world, Lu Ming and Yi Immortal had fought for the human king body, but they had still been no match for Yi Immortal. But now, Lu Ming was able to fight Yi Immortal even though he was only 1 layer lower than him. This greatly boosted Lu Ming's confidence. Swish, 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 Lu Ming brandished his war god spear. Spear lights crisscrossed as they repeatedly stabbed at Yi Immortal. The two engaged in an intense exchange of blows. On the other side, the heavenly human race's 2 9-man joint attack formations charged towards Xian Yanqing and the others. However, Guimo had already recovered. Demonic chi surged and blocked the 2 golden warriors. Although Gumo's spirit had been damaged during his battle with Yi Immortal, he was still in existence that surpassed the strongest Lord of Heaven. His battle prowess was still very strong. Even though he wasn't at his peak, he had no problem blocking the attacks of the 2 golden warriors with his strong defensive capabilities. The joint attack formation didn't have any soul attacks. The strength of the souls of the other heavenly human race members was far inferior to Yi immortals. Even if they had soul attacks, they wouldn't have much of an impact on Guemo. This gave Xian Yanqing, Qiu Moon, and the others a chance to catch their breaths. They took out divine pills and swallowed them to recover quickly. Not far away, Lord of Heaven of 100 Battles and the others' eyes lit up. They wanted to attack Xian Yanqing and the others. However, Dandan and the others saw through them immediately. Dandan waved his hands and countless runes flew out. They combined with the damaged formations on the scene and set up another defensive formation. Although this formation was only set up temporarily, it was still very powerful when combined with the damaged formations on the scene. It wouldn't be a problem to block a few of the strongest Lord of Heaven for a while. Chapter 4871. The Lord of Heaven of 100 Battles and the others circled around and attacked. As expected, their attacks were blocked by the array. In the blink of an eye, Lu Ming and Yi Immortal had already exchanged more than a dozen blows. Both of them were giving it their all and unleashing their ultimate moves continuously. Both of them were greatly drained. But at this point, Lu Ming's advantage was obvious. He had completely gained the upper hand and was beginning to suppress Yi Immortal. Clang. A spear light pierced Yi Wuxiu. However, Yi Wuxiu relied on his peak source-grade armor to block the spear light. Lu Ming was indeed slightly stronger than Yi Immortal in terms of direct attack power. However, Yi Immortal had the advantage of a soul-grade armor. Lu Ming could not completely suppress Yi Immortal and cause him much damage. Boom, boom. Following that, the two of them exchanged a few more blows. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and blasted Yi Immortal with his spear. Of course, the attack power was still blocked by the armor on Yi Wuxiu's body. However, Yi Wuxiu's body was also sent flying and smashed into a mountain rock, shattering it. Damn it! Yi Immortal roared in his heart. Although he had blocked Lu Ming's attack with his armor and did not cause much damage to himself, he was still embarrassed. In the eyes of others, he was being crushed by Lu Ming. This was a huge blow to his prestige in front of so many heavenly human tribe cultivators. Who was he? He was the strongest patriarch in the history of the heavenly human tribe. But he was still defeated by Lu Ming even though his cultivation level was higher than Lu Ming's. It was really embarrassing. Lu Ming seized the opportunity and attacked Yi Immortal relentlessly. Yi Immortal roared in anger. The two of them continued to exchange blows. But after a few blows, Yi Immortal was sent flying by Lu Ming and crashed heavily into the ground. How could this be? In the surroundings, the heavenly humans' faces became deathly pale. Their bodies trembled as if they had suffered a great blow. In their hearts, the invincible patriarch Yi Immortal had actually been defeated in a single blow. Their faith had taken a heavy blow. This was even more unbearable than being suppressed themselves. Boom! Yi Immortal rushed up into the sky from the ground. His body was surging with a terrifying aura. He looked at Lu Ming with a ferocious expression. How many years had it been since the collapse of the great desolate continent and the beginning of the new epoch? However, he was humiliated by a young man. Unforgivable. However, he had lived for a long time after all. His mind was firm and he was astute, so he quickly calmed down. Go. A cold voice came from Yi Immortal's mouth. Today, he knew that he couldn't do anything to Lu Ming and the others. Although they had two 9-man array formations, Lu Ming's group had two people on the same level as him. Guemo wasn't at his peak right now. That was why the 9-man array formations were able to fight Guemo to a standstill. If Guemo was at his peak, the 9-man array formations might not be a match for him. If they continued to fight, they would be at a disadvantage. Upon hearing Yi Wuxiu's command, the rest of the heavenly human tribe members rushed toward Yi Wuxiu, including the two 9-man formations. They broke free from the bone demon's grasp and rushed toward Yi Wuxiu. Lu Ming didn't stop them. Yi Immortal was watching him closely. If he wanted to make a move, Yi Immortal would definitely stop him. He knew that although he was stronger than Yi Immortal, there was a limit to his strength. It was almost impossible for him to cause much damage to Yi Immortal. Moreover, after exchanging so many blows, he had expended a lot of energy. If this continued, it wouldn't be good for him. It was impossible for him to keep Ye Immortal and the others here. He might as well let them leave. Soon, the heavenly humans gathered behind Ye Immortal and slowly retreated. Before long, they had completely disappeared from Lu Ming's sight. Dandan and the others heaved a sigh of relief. It had been really dangerous just now. Fortunately, Lu Ming had arrived in time. Let's go. Let's leave this place first. Lu Ming said as he headed in another direction with Xian Yanqing and the others. The battle just now had caused a huge commotion. They were afraid that it would attract the primordial light tribe. Before long, they arrived at the other side of the mountain range. There was a huge crack here that extended all the way into the depths of the mountain range. Dense purplish gold paradise divine light constantly seeped out of the crack. Lu Ming and the others found a secluded place to rest at the edge of the crack. Dandan set up a concealment array formation that enveloped Lu Ming and the others. It was as if they had disappeared from their original spot. The others could not see Lu Ming and the others at all. After that, Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Qiu, Dandan and the others sat down cross-legged and began to recover. In less than half a day, Lu Ming and the others had recovered to their peak condition. However, they did not leave. Instead, they stood guard here. Rather than wander around, it was safer to stay here. If they wandered around, they would easily encounter the primordial light tribe. If they stayed here, there was a chance that treasures would fly out of the crack. Moreover, now was not the time to enter the crack. They could only enter when the paradise divine light seeped out of the crack. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. They had indeed gained something by standing guard here. Every time there was a tremor, treasures would fly out of the crack. Of course, most of them were desolate crystals, which were immortal stones. However, they had also obtained an immortal crystal. They now had dozens of immortal crystals in their hands. These immortal crystals were good stuff. They contained origin imprints and were very useful to origin realm existences. Although they could not be compared to origin-grade divine herbs, they were still supreme treasures. During this period of time, the primordial light tribe had searched almost all the surrounding mountains and obtained some treasures. They had also entered the mountain that Lu Ming and the others had first entered and saw the 4 statues. However, the 4 statues did not react to the primordial light tribe at all. In another direction, the heavenly human tribe and the quasi-saint tribe had gathered together. The reason they had gathered together was to join forces against the primordial light tribe. Now, both the heavenly human tribe and the quasi-saint tribe had 5,000 to 6,000 people. In total, there were more than 10,000 people. During this period of time, Yuan Baji had also led people to attack the quasi-saint tribe and the heavenly human tribe. However, after a great battle, both sides had suffered losses. The primordial light tribe did not have much of an advantage. The primordial light tribe had the strongest Lord of Heaven. Although there were more powerhouses at the level of the top Lord of Heaven, the quasi-saint tribe and the heavenly human tribe were not inferior to each other. The quasi-saint tribe and the heavenly human tribe had won. As for the quasi-saint tribe, their foundation was very deep and they had mastered many joint attack battle techniques. The heavenly human tribe also had 2 9-man joint attack formations. This kind of strength was already very strong and was not much weaker than the primordial light tribe. After this battle, the primordial light tribe did not continue to attack the quasi-saint tribe and the heavenly human tribe. If the primordial light tribe's strength could crush the quasi-saint tribe and the heavenly human tribe, they would naturally destroy the 2 tribes without any hesitation. However, when their strength was not much stronger, they hesitated. Chapter 4872. The primordial light race would have to think twice when they were not that strong. Once they fought, even if they could annihilate the celestial race and the quasi-saint race, they would suffer great losses. There were more than one living being in the Forbidden Lands. They were also competitors. If the primordial light race suffered great losses, how could they compete with the Tsang Ming race and the malevolent Yin race? Their most important goal was to find enough resources to awaken more of their people. As for annihilating the quasi-saint race, the celestial race, the heaven destroyer, and the evil demons, that was secondary. As long as enough of their people were awakened, it would be easy to annihilate the quasi-saint race, the celestial race, the heaven destroyer, and the evil demons. Therefore, the major forces formed a balance around the realm aura. The quasi-saint race and the celestial race occupied one area, while the primordial light race occupied another. Everyone was waiting for the heavenly abode divine light to overflow from the realm aura. Then, they would enter the depths of the realm aura to search for treasures. Now that the heavenly abode divine light was so dense, no one dared to enter. If they encountered a giant beast formed by the heavenly abode divine light, they would die. That kind of giant beast was too terrifying. A few days passed in the blink of an eye. Rumble. Suddenly, a violent rumble came from the depths of the realm. At the same time, the ground shook violently. The tremor was stronger than before. The entire mountain range was shaking violently. Heavenly abode divine light kept rushing out from the cracks. Moreover, the cracks kept extending forward, tearing the mountains in the deepest part of the mountain range apart. There were 3 mountains in the deepest part of the mountain range that were still intact. The formations on them were also intact. At this time, dazzling rays of light appeared on the 3 mountains. Formations emerged one after another to resist the tearing of the cracks. Crash! Suddenly, everyone saw that the top of one of the mountains collapsed due to the tremor, revealing a corner inside. There were several light balls among them. Within each ball of light, there was a piece of black armor. Bang! Suddenly, one of the balls of light shattered, and a piece of black armor flew out like a bolt of lightning. It was flying in the direction of the primordial light race. In the process of flying, the black armor emitted a powerful aura, as if it was an invincible expert. That's in source-level weapon. No, it's a top-level source-level weapon. Many people cried out in alarm. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Qiu Autumn Moon, Dandan, and the others' eyes shone brightly. This battle armor was actually a top-tier soul-grade divine weapon. Not only that, it was a defensive-type item. Such a treasure was simply too rare. It was more than 10 times more valuable than a top-tier source-grade divine weapon of the same grade. Lu Ming's current shortcoming was his defense. If he had a top-grade defensive divine weapon, he wouldn't have been in such a sorry state when he encountered Yuan Yu and the others. He wouldn't have suffered such heavy injuries. Even turning defeat into victory wouldn't have been impossible. A top-tier defensive source-grade divine weapon was simply too valuable. Unfortunately, this armor was flying in the direction of the primordial light tribe. A few primordial light tribe martialists had already flown over. One of the Guangqian royal emissaries shot out a beam of light and bound the battle sword tightly before handing it over to Yuan Baji. Ambassador Guangqian was Yuan Baji's subordinate. What a pity, what a pity! Whether it was the quasi-immortal tribe, the heavenly human tribe, or Lu Ming and the others, they all sighed in their hearts. This kind of treasure was something the heavenly human tribe, the heaven destroyer tribe, and even the quasi-immortal tribe desperately needed. Among the heavenly human tribe, Lu Ming only saw Yi Immortal and Yi Qiuxian possessing such a treasure. Of course, some origin realm martialists might have such a treasure, but most people didn't. Obtaining such a treasure would greatly increase one's battle prowess. Therefore, everyone's eyes were fixed on the few mountains in the depths of the meridian. Just now, they saw that there were several similar armors in the collapsed corner of the hall. And that was only a corner of the palace that had collapsed. Were there any other similar armors in the palace that had not collapsed? Were there any other treasures apart from the battle armors? Powerful chi refinement techniques from the previous era? Or a complete set of joint attack arrays? These were all unparalleled treasures. It seemed that there were many other incomparably precious treasures in the depths of the meridian apart from the divine herbs, immortal stones, and immortal crystals. Everyone rubbed their hands eagerly, waiting for the heavenly paradise light to dissipate completely. Maybe we can refine a treasure that can pass through the heavenly paradise light and enter the depths of the meridian first. At this moment, Dandan suddenly spoke. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, Guimo, and the others' eyes lit up. Dandan, are you serious? Are you confident? Lu Ming asked. Of course, but we need the help of the space-time bubble. When the heavenly paradise light is not very dense, we can pass through it, Dandan said. However, Lu Ming and the others were still a little uncertain, because Dandan's eyes were shining as he stared at the few mountains in the depths of the meridian. The light of greed was almost tangible. Lu Ming was really worried that Dandan was taking the risk out of desperation because of his greed. But in the end, Lu Ming decided to give it a try. Among all the parties present, they were relatively the weakest. Needless to say, the primordial light race had 3 Guangqian royal envoys, including Yuan Jiuji and Yuan Baji. There were also some terrifying joint attack arrays, such as the 21-people joint attack array. The quasi-saint race and the heavenly human race had already joined forces. Both sides had 2 Guangqian royal envoys, and there were also many joint attack arrays. Lu Ming and the others did not have the slightest advantage in a head-on competition. However, if they could enter the meridian first, they would be able to seize the opportunity and obtain a lot of treasures. Lu Ming and the others decided to let Dandan and Bubble give it a try. Immediately, they gathered the materials that Dandan needed. Dandan and Bubble began to refine. The others continued to wait. Immortal stones and immortal crystals flew out of the cracks and intercepted them. Soon, another month had passed. During this month, the area shook even more violently. Many of the arrays in the depths of the meridian were torn apart. It was only a matter of time before those arrays were completely torn apart. In addition, the heavenly abode divine light under the meridian was also very diluted. The heavenly abode divine light that was overflowing now was much thinner. Of course, it was still very dangerous for all parties. However, there were already people who could not bear it anymore. For example, the 3 Guangqian royal envoys of the primordial light race had already started to move. They rushed into one of the cracks. Obviously, they wanted to take the risk and enter first to seize the opportunity. Seeing this, the people of the heavenly human race and the quasi-saint race also could not bear it. The quasi-saint race's expert, who was comparable to the Guangqian royal envoys, also rushed into one of the cracks. Chapter 4873. Then, on the heavenly human tribe's side, Ye Immortal, who was covered in a suit of armor and covered in the perfect power of heaven, also rushed into a crack. All the experts who were comparable to the Guangqian royal envoys entered the meridian first, trying to seize the opportunity to seize the treasures. Lu Ming and the others were a little anxious. Dandan, are the treasures you refined ready? Lu Ming asked Dandan. Don't worry, it'll be ready soon, Dandan replied. Dandan's speed was fast, but in fact, it only took a day. A day later, Dandan refined 2 suits of armor. The armor was engraved with runes and was shrouded in the power of time and space. The aura of these suits is somewhat similar to the leap-crossing airship. Lu Ming took a closer look and found that the 2 suits of armor were somewhat similar to the leap-crossing airship. That's right. I refined them based on the leap-crossing airship and added the power of time and space. Given your and Gumo's strength, it shouldn't be a problem for you to wear these suits of armor and pass through the heavenly abode divine light. Dandan patted his chest and said, "Should?" Lu Ming looked at Dandan with distrust. Lu Ming really didn't trust this guy. I used the wrong word. It's not should, it's should. Are you still worried about me? Dandan raised her head, looking as if she was a master. Of course not. Lu Ming replied without hesitation. You, Dandan gritted his teeth and wanted to kick Lu Ming's face. Lu Ming didn't give him any face. Don't worry. If there's a problem, I'll take my head to see you. Dandan gritted his teeth and said. Lu Ming muttered in his heart, but in the end, he took a suit of armor. At the same time, Guemo also took a suit of armor and put it on. You guys wait for us here. Lu Ming looked at Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, and the others. After bidding farewell to them, he and Guemo rushed into a crack. Xian Yanqing and the others hid in the concealment array. As long as they didn't go out, they should be safe. Bush. Lu Ming and Guemo dashed into the fissure. Their figures kept flashing as they avoided the heavenly abode divine lights. Although they had the armor refined by Dandan and Dandan's words could penetrate the heavenly divine light that was not very rich, Lu Ming and Bone Demon were not very confident. It was best to avoid it if possible. The two of them were extremely fast. Their figures flickered continuously as they charged towards the bottom of the crack. They dodged over a dozen heavenly abode divine lights in succession. But in the next moment, heavenly abode divine light, and the heavenly abode. This heavenly abode divine light covered an extremely wide area. There was no way to dodge it, and one could only face it head-on. Charge! Lu Ming and Gumo's power surged as they activated the armor made by Dandan and Bubbles, and rushed towards the heavenly abode divine light. Crash! The heavenly abode divine light hit the two of them, producing a crash. However, to Lu Ming's surprise, the impact wasn't very strong. The armor on his body glowed and produced a strange power. This strange power blocked the heavenly abode divine light. In addition, the space-time power on the armor also produced a very good isolation effect, blocking the heavenly abode divine light. It's really useful. Dandan is finally reliable for a few times. Lu Ming was delighted. Of course, this was just his habitual thought. Speaking of which, Dandan had become quite reliable ever since he came back from the Myriad Transformations ruins. Many times, it was thanks to Dandan's help that he was able to avert danger. However, Dandan didn't leave a good impression on people in the past. Therefore, many people subconsciously felt that Dandan wasn't very reliable. It was unknown how Dandan would feel if he knew Lu Ming's thoughts. Soon, Lu Ming and Guemo rushed through the heavenly abode divine light. The consumption of their energy was minimal. Not bad. This armor is really good. Lu Ming, this way we can move freely under the heavenly abode divine light. We just have to avoid the particularly strong heavenly abode divine light. Guemo transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. He was also quite excited. The Guangxian royal envoy of the primordial light race, the heavenly human race, and the quasi-sage race's elites definitely wouldn't have an easy time facing the heavenly abode divine light. Even if they had entered a day earlier, their speed would still be far inferior to theirs. The two of them accelerated and rushed downwards. This heavenly abode divine light vein was very large and very deep. The two of them went downwards for hundreds of thousands of miles before reaching the deepest part of the crack. Divine medicine. Suddenly, Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He saw several stalks of divine medicine growing on a cliff. Lu Ming's figure flashed and appeared near the divine medicine. It was a main-level divine medicine. Although it was a main-level divine medicine, its medicinal strength was incomparably dense, far above that of an ordinary main-level divine medicine. Although it couldn't compare to the sky jade ginseng that Lu Ming and the others had obtained before, Lu Ming sensed for a moment and discovered that the medicinal strength of this main-level divine medicine was dozens of times greater than that of an ordinary main-level divine medicine. This was because the energy in the depths of the Qi meridian was too dense. These main-level divine medicines had absorbed such dense energy over the years. The medicinal strength accumulated was simply too dense. Lu Ming waved his hand, controlling the taboo power. He plucked a few main-level divine medicines and stored them in the Great Desolation Ring. They urgently needed this kind of main-level divine medicine. Whether it was Lu Ming, Ling Yue, Dandan, or Bubbles, they all needed it to cultivate. After that, they would be able to discover main-level divine medicines from time to time. Every main-level divine medicine, no matter what type it was, had medicinal strength that was far above the main-level divine medicine outside. In just over an hour, he had obtained dozens of these main-level divine medicines. At this time, they had also landed at the bottom of the crevice. Great Desolation Crystal? Lu Ming's eyes lit up. At the bottom of the crevice, there were densely packed Great Desolation Crystals. These Great Desolation Crystals were embedded in the cliff. It was unknown how fast they were. Unfortunately, it wasn't like the Qi meridian from before, which was an entire vein. However, this was only a corner of the Qi meridian, so it was normal that it didn't form an entire vein. Lu Ming and the Bone Demon took out their divine weapons and dug. Digging one piece at a time was too slow. They cut off the rocks and kept them in their storage rings. When they had time, they would organize them one by one. It took them half a day to plunder all the Great Desolation Crystals here. Lu Ming estimated that there were at least 50 million of them. Don't think it's too little. One had to know that this was only a corner of the Qi meridian, and there was already so much content. Who knew how many great desolation crystals were contained in the center of the Qi meridian? After plundering, the two of them followed the crevice and headed in another direction. In the blink of an eye, they had been in the crevice for several days. In these few days, their harvest was extremely great. There were already more than 100 main-level divine medicines. There were also more than 200 million great desolation crystals. If the main-level divine medicine were to be exchanged for great desolation crystals, in addition to the great desolation crystals he had obtained, it would be close to 500 million. Source-level divine medicine. Suddenly, Lu Ming's heart beat wildly. Chapter 4874. Lu Ming's eyes lit up when he saw a source-level divine herb in front of him. It was a source-level divine herb that looked like a poria. A small divine herb was running around on top of the divine herb. A dense medicinal fragrance permeated the air. However, it wasn't a top-tier source-level divine herb. It was just an ordinary one. A top-tier source-level divine herb was like a living creature that could run around. However, even an ordinary source-level divine herb was priceless. Lu Ming only had one in his possession. Source-level divine herbs were extremely useful to reciprocity cultivators. They could rapidly increase their cultivation base. Lu Ming and the Bone Demon quickly arrived before the source-level divine herb. Nothing strange happened. Very soon, Lu Ming moved the source-level divine herb into his chaotic ring. There's a fork here. Which way should we go? The Bone Demon asked Lu Ming. That way, where the Primordial Light clan resides. Lu Ming looked to the left. That was where the Primordial Light clan resided. Lu Ming planned to head to where the Primordial Light clan resided. They had the armor refined by Dandan, so they might be able to get ahead of the Primordial Light clan and plunder all the treasures there. The two of them quickly headed to the left, plundering all the treasures they saw along the way. Be careful. There's someone up ahead. The Bone Demon suddenly whispered. The Bone Demon's spiritual senses were extremely sharp, so he could sense that there was someone up ahead. This place was filled with the heavenly paradise light. Ordinary people's spiritual senses would be greatly affected. Once they were far away, their spiritual senses would be greatly affected. However, the Bone Demon was an reciprocity cultivator at his peak. His spiritual senses were extremely sharp, so even if they were affected, they would still be much stronger than ordinary people at the same level. Lu Ming and the Bone Demon quickly stopped and found a hidden place to hide. Then, they carefully peered in a certain direction. On one of the cliffs, there was a cave, and inside the cave, there were 3 figures. They were the 3 Guangqian royal envoys of the Primordial Light clan. 2 of them were standing. One of them was sitting cross-legged, as if he was healing himself. One could see that there was a wound on that person's body that was flickering with purple-golden light. That was clearly a wound left behind by the heavenly paradise divine light. Evidently, the Guangqian royal envoy had been injured by the heavenly abode light and was currently recuperating. The heavenly paradise divine light in that area is denser than in other areas. The Primordial Light tribe should have been injured there. Bone Devil pointed in a direction and transmitted his voice to Lu Ming. Lu Ming nodded and said, that area might contain even more treasures. Let's go and take a look. They were wearing armor made by the Dandan. Even if the Primordial Light race's Guangqian emissary was injured there, they might not be injured. The two of them concealed their auras and carefully circled around from the other side. The members of the Primal Light tribe didn't sense them. Soon, the two of them approached the region and rushed in. Ooh! The Paradise God light continued to swirl around like a raging gale as it slammed into the two of them. However, it was blocked off by their armor. As such, the two of them didn't receive much of an impact. The two of them continued to venture deeper and deeper, traversing several hundred miles. Sure enough, they found a large number of chaos crystals, as well as many main-grade godly medicines. The two of them began to loot without restraint. The two spent a few days searching for the ancient desolation crystals and the primary godly herbs in the place. They even found 2 source-grade godly medicines. Of course, there was no lack of treasures like immortal crystals. What a great harvest! Lu Ming's face was full of smiles. Lu Ming didn't calculate the exact amount of chaos crystals and main-grade godly medicines that they had obtained over the past few days. However, he estimated that if all of them were exchanged for chaos crystals, they would be worth at least 1 billion. This was very shocking. One should know that the entire chaos crystal mine that they had obtained previously had only been worth a little more than 1 billion chaos crystals. However, this place was obviously not the core mine. It was really shocking that there were so many chaos crystals here. After looting everything, the two of them left in one direction, ready to explore other areas. Lu Ming, it's you! Suddenly, an angry roar was heard. Lu Ming took a look and sneered. The person who had shouted earlier was Yuan Yu. Yuan Yu and the 2 Guangxin imperial envoys under Yuan Jiuji had broken through the slightly thinner heavenly abode light and rushed here. As soon as they rushed in, they saw Lu Ming and Guemo. Then, they saw an empty space without even a single chaos crystal. There really wasn't a single chaos crystal left. Lu Ming and the others had looted everything, leaving nothing for them. They were furious, unable to restrain their anger. The 3 Guangxin imperial envoys rushed toward Lu Ming and Guemo in a frenzy. Light beams filled the sky like 3,000 sharp swords, stabbing toward Lu Ming and Guemo. Let's go! Lu Ming and Guemo didn't fight. They rushed in another direction, planning to retreat first. With the same battle strength, 2 against 3, they were obviously at a disadvantage. Lu Ming could easily suppress one of them in a one-on-one battle, but he was definitely no match for 2 Guangxin imperial envoys. The 2 of them retreated while blocking the light beams. Die for me! This time, we can't let them escape. The Guangxin imperial envoys roared as their bodies turned into rays of light. The rays of light turned into different divine weapons, increasing their speed sharply as they charged toward Lu Ming and Guemo. Clang clang. Bone didn't care about defense. He fought 1 against 2 and blocked the attacks of the 2 Guangxin ambassadors. However, even though he managed to block the attacks of the 2 Guangxin ambassadors, he was still sent flying. He crashed into a dense heavenly paradise light. Fortunately, he was wearing the armor refined by Dandan and had amazing defense, so he successfully blocked the attack. On the other hand, Lu Ming easily blocked the attack of the 3rd Guangxin king. Guemo, let's go to the place where the heavenly abode light is dense. Lu Ming came to Gumo's side and transmitted a message to him. Then, the 2 of them changed direction and rushed toward the direction where the heavenly abode light was dense. Coincidentally, a wave of dense heavenly abode light rushed over from that direction. Lu Ming and Guemo relied on the armor refined by Dandan to rush into the heavenly abode light. Although they also suffered a great impact, the armor successfully neutralized a portion of the impact. Coupled with their own strength, they were able to withstand the impact. However, the 3 Guangxin imperial envoys didn't have this ability. They simply didn't dare face such a dense heavenly abode light head-on. Thus, they hurriedly dodged. By the time they avoided the heavenly abode light, they had already lost track of Lu Ming and Guemo. Damn it. Yuan Yu and the other 2 Guangxin imperial envoys roared angrily. Lu Ming and Guemo had actually been able to ignore the heavenly abode light and come here before them to plunder all the treasures. Immortal stones, immortal crystals, and divine medicines were more precious than source-grade divine weapons and combined array formations. They didn't lack source-grade divine weapons or combined array formations. What they lacked were immortal stones, immortal crystals, and divine medicines, which contained rich energy and could help awaken more of their people. Chapter 4875. In the following period of time, Lu Ming and the Bone Demon were active under the crevice and obtained quite a few great desolation crystals and main-level divine medicines. At this time, the great desolation crystals and main-level divine medicines in the underground crevice had almost been completely plundered. This was because this was not the core of the Qi Meridian. The core of this chi meridian was at the bottom of the 3 mountain peaks in the deepest part. The Great Desolation crystal vein should be there. That place had not cracked open yet, and the heavenly passage divine light had not overflowed yet. It was still very terrifying, and they could not enter for the time being. Since it was not in the core area, the number of treasures it contained was naturally limited. Seeing that there was nothing left to gain, Lu Ming and the Bone Demon left the underground and returned to the surface to meet up with Xian Yanqing, Dandan, and the others. Then, Lu Ming and the Bone Demon took out their harvest from this trip. Everyone began to organize it, digging out the Great Desolation crystals from the rocks one by one. After calculating, the number of Great Desolation crystals was more than 1 billion. In addition to those main-level divine medicines, if exchanged for Great Desolation crystals, it would be equivalent to 500 to 600 million Great Desolation crystals. In total, it would be close to 2 billion Great Desolation crystals. This was a huge amount. However, to Lu Ming and the others, it was not a big number. Right now, Lu Ming, Ling Yue, Wan Xin, Dandan, Bubbles, and Tang Jun were all at the 8th level of the Divine Master Realm. Needless to say, Lu Ming needed at least 5 billion Great Desolation crystals for his breakthrough, or even more. As for Ling Yue, Wan Xin, Dandan, Bubbles, and Tang Jun, they were all peerless geniuses in the universe. The power they controlled was also not to be underestimated. The energy required to break through to the 9th level of the Divine Master Realm was also extremely shocking. Although it could not compare to Lu Ming, it was not too far off. More than 1 billion or even more than 2 billion was normal. 2 billion Great Desolation crystals was at most enough for one person to break through. In the end, everyone discussed and decided to give these treasures to Dandan to break through first. Dandan majored in the Tao of rune formations. Relatively speaking, the resources needed for a breakthrough were slightly less. Of course, this was in comparison to Lu Ming and the others. To others, 2 billion might not be enough, but to Dandan, 2 billion should be enough. Also, along the way, Dandan's formation had played a huge role. He believed that it would still play a huge role in the future. Everyone agreed. Dandan did not hold back and began to refine the desolate gems and divine medicine to break through to the next realm. With the support of the formation, the speed of refining the desolate crystals increased greatly. However, refining so many desolate crystals still required a period of time. Not long after Lu Ming and the others came out, the Guanxin royal envoy of the primordial light race, the powerhouses of the quasi-immortal tribe, and the Yi immortal also came out one after another. When Yuan Jiuji heard that Lu Ming had stolen their treasures again, he was unable to restrain his anger. He sent out a large number of people to search for Lu Ming and the others. Unfortunately, they could not find the concealment formation set up by Dandan. In the end, they naturally came up empty-handed. 9th brother, in this purple heaven grotto heaven, whether it is Lu Ming and the others, the quasi-immortal tribe, or the heavenly human tribe, they have all obtained opportunities and become stronger and stronger. If this continues, it will be more and more disadvantageous for us to obtain more resources. We should let more of our people in. Yuan Baji and Yuan Jiuji discussed. I also have the same idea. With the resources we have obtained during this period, we will definitely be able to wake up many of our people. 7th brother should also have a lot of gains. Let's send him a message and let him send people to bring the resources back to the tribe. If 6th brother or 5th brother can wake up and enter Purple Heaven Grotto Heaven, Lu Ming, the quasi-immortal tribe, and the heavenly human tribe will all die at that time. Yuan Jiuji said with a sinister expression. Immediately, Yuan Baji and Yuan Jiuji sent out experts to take a large number of resources and left Purple Heaven Grotto Heaven on a flying boat. In Purple Heaven Grotto Heaven, one could leave at any time as long as they took the flying boat. Then they sent another message. The target was Yuan Baji and Yuan Jiuji's 7th brother, Yuan Qiji. On the other side, where the heavenly human tribe was. Some experts of the Yi Immortal and the heavenly human tribe were also discussing. Still haven't found any traces of the source divine tea? The Yi Immortal asked with a gloomy face. In the previous battle, he was actually suppressed by Lu Ming. Even with his deep thoughts, he had been in a bad mood during this period of time. Lu Ming's rise was too fast. Even he, an overlord who had lived for countless years, felt great pressure. He had to increase his strength as soon as possible to kill Lu Ming. And the source divine tea was a peerless treasure that could allow him to increase his strength quickly. This was because the origin divine tea could allow him to reach peak godly master quickly. Generally speaking, it was difficult to use treasures or resources to reach peak godly master from a 9th-tier godly master. One had to slowly comprehend it, accumulate it, and achieve it naturally. No matter how talented one was, it was difficult to achieve it in one go. However, there were all sorts of strange things in the universe. The source divine tea could defy the heavens. It could allow a 9th-tier godly master to quickly break through. However, the source divine tea was too rare and precious. It had only appeared in ancient records. No one had seen it in real life. To be more precise, the origin divine tea was a type of source divine medicine. A top-grade source divine medicine. It could move freely like a living being. Previously, in another ruin in Purple Heaven Grotto Heaven, the Yi Immortal had discovered the source divine tea by accident. He had followed the origin divine tea all the way here. That was right. The Yi Immortal had not come here on purpose. He had followed the origin divine tea here. Unfortunately, the origin divine tea had disappeared into the meridians as soon as it had arrived. The Yi Immortal had been sending people to search for it all this time. The heavenly human tribe members present all shook their heads, indicating that they had not found it. The Yi Immortal's face darkened even more. A terrifying aura emanated from his body, causing the other heavenly human tribe members to hold their breaths. At this moment, the Yi Immortal's expression changed. He waved his hand, and a voice transmission jade talisman appeared in his hand. Someone had sent him a message. He scanned it with his spiritual consciousness, and a look of joy appeared on his face. I found traces of the origin divine tea. Follow me. Remember to keep it a secret. Don't let the Quasi-Saint tribe or other factions find out. The Yi Immortal warned. Then, the Yi Immortal led a small number of heavenly human tribe members and left quietly. A day later, the Yi Immortal returned with the heavenly human tribe members. There was a look of joy on his face, but it was also a look of pity. He opened his palms, and 2 emerald green leaves appeared in his hands. These 2 leaves were not ordinary leaves at first glance. They were very mysterious and shone with a green luster. On the leaves, there were shadows that flickered continuously. They transformed into all kinds of wild beasts at one moment, and all kinds of divine weapons at other times. They were mysterious and unfathomable. There were thousands of changes, and they seemed to contain endless profundities. It's a pity that the origin divine tea escaped. We only managed to obtain 2 of its leaves. The Yi Immortal muttered. Chapter 4876. The 2 leaves in Yi Immortal's hand were the origin god tea leaves. But it's enough. 1 origin god tea leaf per person is enough to break through. Yi Immortal thought to himself. Then, he said, when Yi Qiuxin comes here, tell him to come see me. Understood. The others acknowledged the order and left. They knew that Yi Immortal was going to cultivate in seclusion. After they left, Yi Immortal brewed a pot of tea. He tossed a origin god tea leaf into the water. The tea's aroma immediately filled the air. A refreshing aroma filled the air. One would feel refreshed with just a whiff. Yi Immortal drank the tea in one gulp. Then he sat down cross-legged and began cultivating. Several days later, Yi Immortal stopped cultivating. He brewed another pot of tea. After drinking it, he continued cultivating. As time passed, the tremors underground grew more intense. A huge crack had appeared on the foremost peak of the 3 mountains in the depths of the Qi vein. Many of the formations on the mountain had been destroyed. Time passed quickly. It had been 3 months since Lu Ming emerged from the crack. Boom! A powerful aura emanated from Danden's body. After 3 months of cultivation, Danden's cultivation base had finally broken through. He was now a 9th-tier divine master. However, Danden had used up almost all of the desolate gems and main grade divine herbs that Lu Ming had brought back. After Danden broke through, He joined forces with Bubbles to forge an armor that could withstand the heavenly paradise divine light. With their previous experience, Dandan and Bubbles were already familiar with the process. Their forging speed increased greatly. In just 2 months, Dandan and Bubbles had forged 8 pieces. Together with the 2 pieces that Lu Ming and Guillemot had forged, they now had 1 each. How about it? Shall we enter the depths of the Qi vein together? We'll take all the desolate gems in the depths of the Qi vein. Dandan's eyes shone as he stared at the depths of the Qi vein. The others also looked tempted. Previously, Lu Ming and Bone Demon had only circled around the Qi vein and had already obtained treasures worth 2 billion. Then, just how many resources would the primal crystal vein in the depths of this Qi vein contain? More than 10 billion? Once all of them were captured, they would have all the cultivation resources they needed. Lu Ming was also very tempted. Once he obtained all the resources in this meridian, he would definitely have the resources to break through to the 9th tier of the Divine Master Realm, greatly increasing his battle prowess. At that time, he wouldn't even care about the Guangxin Imperial Envoy. After nearly half a year, the heavenly abode divine light in the depths of the meridians had overflowed a lot. Now, the heavenly abode divine light in the meridians had become much thinner. With the armor refined by Dandan, they might be able to break in and plunder all the treasures inside first. Let's go and give it a try. If it really doesn't work, you can enter my desolate ring. Lu Ming reminded. Then, they put on their armor and prepared to enter the depths of the meridians through the crack. However, just as Lu Ming and the others were about to set off, an intense rumble came from the ground. A terrifying beast roar came from the depths of the meridians. That is, the expressions of Lu Ming and the others changed drastically. The beast roar coming from the depths of the meridians reminded them of the giant beast formed by the heavenly abode divine light. Previously, there was such a giant beast in the periphery. Would there be one in the depths of the meridians as well? They immediately stopped. What a joke! If they entered the depths of the meridians and encountered such a giant beast formed by the heavenly abode divine light, it would be very dangerous. They would have to hide in the desolate ring. Fortunately, they had set off a little later. Roar. Then beast roars came from the depths of the meridians. Dense heavenly abode divine light rushed out continuously. Suddenly, a giant beast rushed out from the depths of the meridians. Its terrifying aura covered the entire meridians. This giant beast was like a giant bird. Its entire body was purple gold. Without a doubt, it was formed by the heavenly abode divine light. These giant beasts formed by the heavenly abode divine light did not have much intelligence. Of course, it might be because there was not enough time. After a long time, they might develop intelligence. These giant beasts had been living in the depths of the meridians, absorbing the heavenly abode divine light to strengthen themselves. When the earth collapsed, they were alarmed. They instinctively rushed out and attacked crazily. This giant bird was no exception. After it flew out, it attacked crazily. Countless terrifying heavenly abode divine lights bombarded the various parts of the meridians. They also bombarded the formations of the 3 mountain peaks. Those formations exploded with dazzling light. They formed beams of terrifying light that fought against the heavenly abode divine light. The 3 mountain peaks in the depths of the meridians rumbled continuously. Powerful energy overflowed. Although the formations of the 3 mountain peaks were extremely terrifying, they were torn apart due to the collapse of the earth. They could not resist the giant bird formed by the heavenly abode divine light. They collapsed and exploded continuously. However, the body of the giant bird formed by the heavenly abode divine light was also shrinking rapidly. The light quickly dimmed. After about half an hour, the giant bird completely dissipated and turned into nothingness. However, the majority of the spirit formations on the 3 mountain peaks had been destroyed. Even if there were still spirit formations remaining, they were only a small portion. This was completely beyond the expectations of the various factions. Originally, according to their calculations, it would take at least a few months for the earth to collapse and tear apart the formations of the 3 mountain peaks. However, This was abruptly brought forward by a few months. At this moment, everyone's eyes were burning with passion. Let's go. Follow me to the mountain peaks. The treasures there are all ours. Yuan Jiuji and Yuan Baji gave the order. They led the experts of the primordial light race and rushed towards the 3 mountain peaks in the depths of the meridians. At the same time, the quasi-saint tribe and the heavenly human tribe also rushed towards the depths of the meridians. Let's go too. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing and the others also moved and rushed towards the depths of the meridians. The sudden change disrupted Lu Ming and the others' plans. They originally planned to go underground and plunder the treasures in the depths of the meridians before going to the mountain peaks to compete for the treasures on the mountain peaks. But now they had to change their plans. The 3 mountain peaks in the depths of the meridians definitely contained precious treasures. Not to mention other things, just the source-level divine armors were priceless. They didn't want to miss out on it. They had to fight for it. The 3 mountain peaks in the depths of the meridians were arranged in a trapezoidal shape. The deeper they went, the more majestic the mountain peaks were. If they wanted to enter the second mountain peak, they had to pass through the first mountain peak. Every mountain peak was very majestic and occupied a very large area. Various forces were rushing towards the mountain peaks from different directions, rushing towards the peak of the mountain peaks. Lu Ming and the others were extremely fast. With Dandan around, they could easily avoid the remnants of the formations. Soon, they reached the top of the mountain. Roar, roar, roar. When Lu Ming and the others approached the top of the mountain, roars were heard. One by one, absolute Yin corpses appeared and charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Chapter 4877. There were actually many extreme Yin corpses on this mountain. At a glance, there were at least a few hundred extreme Yin corpses that charged towards Lu Ming and the others. Only a few of the surrounding mountains had extreme Yin corpses. It seemed like the 3 central mountains weren't that safe even if they didn't have an array. One could imagine that in the last era, these 3 mountains were the core of this meridian. Lu Ming, Xian Yanqing, and the others all took out their divine weapons with blue firestones and charged towards the extreme Yin corpses. The dozen or so extreme Yin corpses at the front had shocking strength. They were all comparable to the strongest Lord of Heaven. If they were in the primitive universe, a dozen or so existences comparable to the strongest Lord of Heaven would definitely be a terrifying force. But now, Lu Ming and the others weren't afraid. Their divine weapons had blue firestones attached to them and could counter the extreme Yin corpses. Moreover, Lu Ming and the others were much stronger than before. Whoosh, 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 Lu Ming and the Bone Demon took the lead and charged towards the dozen or so extreme Yin corpses that were comparable to the strongest Lord of Heaven. The war god's spear vibrated and the spear light expanded. In an instant, 6 or 7 spear lights shot out and enveloped the 6 or 7 extreme Yin corpses that were comparable to the strongest Lord of Heaven. The sharp spear lights, together with the blue firestones, easily broke through the extreme Yin corpses' protective black energy and pierced through their bodies. Then, a blue flame enveloped the extreme Yin corpses and quickly extinguished the black energy on their bodies. On the other side, the Bone Demon was also powerful. He continuously slashed out with his purple gold battle axe and heavily injured the 6 or 7 extreme Yin corpses. Lu Ming and the others didn't tangle with the extreme Yin corpses for too long. With Lu Ming and the Bone Demon in the lead, they broke through the extreme Yin corpses' encirclement and charged towards the peak of the mountain. In front of them, an extreme Yin corpse appeared to block them. Luckily, there weren't any terrifying extreme Yin corpses here, such as the silver-eyed Yin corpse. Therefore, they couldn't stop Lu Ming and the others. After a while, Lu Ming and the others appeared in a huge hall. This palace was truly enormous. That was because there was only a single palace at the peak of the mountain. It was continuous and unending. Dandan sensed the palace and discovered that there was no spirit formation inside. Thus they rushed in. Strangely enough, when Lu Ming and his crew entered the palace, the absolute Yin corpses did not chase after them, but stopped outside the palace. Inside the palace, passages crisscrossed, forming a large number of houses. It looked like they were for people to live in. Unfortunately, Nothing was left behind. They searched dozens of houses but found nothing. It wasn't until they arrived at a particularly spacious hall that they finally made a discovery. Several glowing orbs floated in the air in the hall. At a glance, there were at least 100 of them. Within each ball of light, there was a scroll. That's right, they were all scrolls, not divine weapons or treasures. However, the eyes of Lu Ming and the others suddenly lit up. Sometimes, the contents recorded in the scrolls were even more precious than divine weapons. For example, it recorded the various qi cultivation techniques of the previous era, or recorded the various rune formations, or even the way to refine divine weapons, or the way to refine joint attack formation carriers, etc. All of these were priceless treasures. All of them could increase the strength of a large force and become the most profound foundation. This was not something a single divine weapon could compare to. A single divine weapon could only benefit one person, but all of these could benefit almost everyone. For the development of a large force, it was extremely important. Sush. Lu Ming was the first to rush out. He grabbed at a ball of light with his hand. The defensive power of the ball of light was not strong. It was probably because too much time had passed that its power had weakened too much. Lu Ming grabbed the ball of light and easily grabbed a scroll in his hand. Lu Ming could not wait to open the scroll, wanting to see what was inside. However, after opening it, Lu Ming was dumbfounded. This was because Lu Ming did not recognize any of the words inside. It's all the words of the previous era, Lu Ming sighed in his heart. However, it did not matter. He could take the Heaven Destroyer back and let the experts study it. In every force, there were people who specialized in studying the words of the previous era. Over the countless years, by excavating the ancient books in the ruins of the universe and continuously studying them, almost all of the words of the previous era had been deciphered. Even the heavenly human tribe and the demon tribe were passed down from the previous era. Among them, there were words of the previous era that were passed down. It seems that after leaving the Purple Heaven Cave, I have to find time to learn the words of the previous era. Lu Ming thought in his heart. As his cultivation improved, he would come into contact with more things of the previous era. Therefore, it was very necessary to learn the words of the previous era. Otherwise, if he really encountered some fortuitous encounters, he might not be able to obtain them. With a thought, he put away the scroll. Then, Lu Ming pounced on another scroll. At the same time, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon and the others also started to collect the scrolls. Soon, more than 30 scrolls fell into the hands of Lu Ming and the others. Someone's here. Be careful. Suddenly, Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He felt that someone was rapidly approaching. Then, a terrifying aura surged like a tide, filling the hall with a gloomy aura. It's the people of the Yuan Guang tribe. Lu Ming looked around and realized that it was the people of the Yuan Guang tribe. Almost all of the elites of the Yuan Guang tribe had arrived. The leaders were Yuan Jiuji, Yuan Baji, and the 3 Guangqian royal ambassadors. In addition, there were some elites who had set up a joint attack formation. Lu Ming. As soon as he saw Lu Ming, Yuan Jiuji's eyes were filled with cold, murderous intent. He shouted, "Kill them! Kill! Kill! Kill!" The 3 Guangqian royal ambassadors were the fastest. Before Yuan Jiuji could finish his words, the 3 of them had already pounced on Lu Ming and the others. Their bodies glowed and combined with their divine weapons to launch a terrifying attack. Lu Ming and Guimo rushed out and used all their strength to block the attacks of the 3 Guangqian royal ambassadors. Boom! Boom! A few earth-shattering explosions erupted. Violent energy swept around the hall and directly pierced through it. Large holes were blasted open and debris flew everywhere. The hall used to be extremely sturdy. Unfortunately, too much time had passed and it had decayed. It could not withstand the attacks of Lu Ming and the others. Moreover, the powerful energy destroyed those balls of light. However, those scrolls, either because they were protected by the balls of light or because they were very hard, were not damaged. However, they flew in all directions amidst the surging energy. Lu Ming and Guimo retreated quickly. "Let's go!" Lu Ming shouted. He waved his hand and activated the ancient desolation ring. Xian Yanqing and the others were put into the ancient desolation ring. Then, he and Guemo flew in the same direction. The Yuan Guang tribe's combat strength was obviously above theirs. Moreover, the Yuan Guang tribe had not used their joint attack formation yet. Naturally, it was best to retreat. Chapter 4878. Chase after them. Nine Origin roared and gave the order to pursue while he led some people to grab the scrolls. However, there were still many scrolls that flew into the distance. The three Guangqian royal emissaries chased after Lu Ming and Guemo. However, the palaces here were crisscrossing and the terrain was complicated. The speed that the Yuanguang clan was so proud of could not be displayed. On the other hand, Lu Ming and Guemo dashed left and right. Soon, they completely shook off the three Guangqian royal emissaries. The three Guangqian royal emissaries had no choice but to leave. After shaking off the three Guangqian royal emissaries, Lu Ming and Guemo found a safe place and released Xian Yanqing, Qiu Moon, Dandan and the others. Those guys, when my cultivation reaches the peak of the Divine Master realm, I will find a chance to kill them. Dandan said unhappily. Dandan was not bragging. He was good at formations. If his cultivation went further and reached the peak of the Divine Master realm, he might be able to take care of the Guangqian royal emissaries if he spent more time and used some materials to set up formations. Let's go look at other places, Lu Ming said. Next, they continued to wander around the palaces. Unfortunately, they did not find anything. It seems that we can only rely on the last two mountains if we want to get the divine weapons, especially the last one, Dandan said. His eyes lit up when he mentioned the last mountain. The last mountain was the place where a corner of the palaces had collapsed and revealed a few balls of light that covered the soul-level divine weapons. Let's go to the second mountain, Lu Ming said. They left and went to the second mountain. Between this mountain peak and the second mountain peak, there was an enormous chain connecting them. It was also the only passage between the two mountain peaks. If they wanted to go to the second mountain, they had to pass through this iron chain. Because this area contained a no-fly zone, it was impossible to fly. If they wanted to go to the second mountain, they had to pass through this iron chain. However, when Lu Ming and the others approached the iron chain, they stopped. This was because the other end of the chain was blocked by someone. Yuanguang clan. That's right, they were still from the Primordial Light clan. They had already passed through the chains and were guarding the second mountain peak. It was clear that if someone were to pass through the chains, they would definitely suffer a terrifying attack. Damn it. The Primordial Light tribe is clearly trying to trap everyone here so that they can monopolize the treasures behind. Dandan growled. Should we charge over? An ominous glint flashed in the eyes of the myriad gods. They had a joint attack formation. If they attacked with all their might, they might be able to catch the other party off guard. No need. The celestial race and the quasi-saint race will definitely not give up. Let's find a place to hide first and wait for them to attack first, Lu Ming said. Good idea, we can just sit back and reap the benefits. Guemo laughed. They found a secluded place to hide, and at the same time, they could see the situation at both ends of the chain. After a period of time, people from the quasi-saint tribe appeared in another direction. However, they didn't make a move. Instead, they hid somewhere like Lu Ming's group and waited for others to make a move. Then, people from the celestial race also appeared. They were also hiding somewhere. Ancestor, the Primordial Light tribe is blocking our way. What should we do? The Lord of Heaven asked. Wait for the others to make a move, Ye Immortal said. Lu Ming's group, the celestial race, and the quasi-saint race all made the same choice. They all wanted to wait for others to make a move so that they could reap the benefits. Therefore, they waited for a few hours, but no one made a move. Boom! Suddenly, a violent explosion erupted from the second mountain peak. Rays of light shot into the sky and a palace exploded, sending debris flying everywhere. They could see a few huge figures fighting with an extreme Een corpse. These huge figures were the joint attack formation of the Primordial Light tribe. There were a total of 3 formations, and they were fighting against an extreme Een corpse. This extreme Een corpse was a silver-eyed Een corpse. It was very powerful and was constantly fighting against the three formations. That palace had been destroyed by the combined attack of the silver-eyed Een corpse and the array formation. That is, at this moment, the eyes of Lu Ming's group, the quasi-saint race, and the celestial race all lit up. There were 15 balls of light in that exploded palace. They could see that there was a saber in each of the 15 balls of light. Each saber was covered with dense runes. They were the carriers of the joint attack formation. That's right, they were the carriers of the joint attack formation. Moreover, they were the carriers of the joint attack formation of 15 people. The more carriers there were, the more people would set up the formation, and the more powerful and valuable it would be. The carriers of the joint attack formation of 15 people were left behind by the Purple Heaven Grotto Heaven. It was definitely a masterpiece and priceless. The hearts of Lu Ming's group, the celestial race, and the quasi-saint race all sped up. Especially Lu Ming's group and the celestial race. The Heaven Destroyer and the celestial race all lacked such a joint attack formation. If they could bring it back and send 15 peak divine masters to set up the formation, it would definitely be very powerful. It would greatly increase their battle strength. The Lord of Heaven would definitely be no match for it. However, the primordial light tribe was guarding there. How were they going to get there? I wanted to hide my strength first and make a move at the critical moment. It seems like I can't hide it anymore. Ye Immortal muttered from the celestial race. Then he ordered, "You guys hide here first and wait for my news." After that, Ye Immortal stepped out and walked toward the iron chain. Ye Immortal is going to make a move. As soon as Ye Immortal walked out, he was discovered by Lu Ming's group and the quasi-saint race. Ye Immortal actually dares to make a move alone. Where did he get his confidence from? Xian Yanqing said. Ye Immortal's battle strength was equivalent to a Guangqian Wang envoy. Even if he was stronger than an ordinary Guangqian Wang envoy with his divine weapon, there was a limit to it. As long as the other party attacked, 2 Guangqian Wang envoys would be enough to suppress Ye Immortal. Moreover, there were 3 Guangqian Wang envoys and many joint attack formations. Ye Immortal was no match for them at all. Ye Immortal actually dared to make a move? Lu Ming frowned. Based on his understanding of Ye Immortal was not an impulsive person. If he wanted to make a move, he would most likely be confident. Could it be that Ye Immortal's battle strength had skyrocketed in just a few months? A member of the celestial race? He's really courting death. Yuan Jiuji sneered. He originally wanted to wait for Lu Ming's group, but he didn't expect to meet a member of the celestial race. But it didn't matter. He would just kill him. Ye Immortal stepped forward and landed on the iron chain. Step by step, he walked forward unhurriedly. Soon, he would pass through the iron chain and arrive at the second mountain. Kill. Yuan Baji waved his hand. Sush, sush. The 2 Guangqian Wang envoys under Yuan Baji attacked Ye Immortal like 2 streaks of light. Their light beams were like thousands of sharp swords, piercing Ye Immortal into a beehive. Chapter 4879. Ye Immortal remained calm in the face of the fierce attacks from the 2 Guangqian royal envoys. Ye Immortal made his move when the thousands of strands of light neared him. Boom! A terrifying aura erupted from Ye Immortal's body, causing the void to explode and the world to lose its color. A battle sword had already appeared in his hand. Without a doubt, it was a top-notch source-grade divine weapon that was no weaker than Lu Ming's war god spear. Ye Immortal charged forward and slashed out a shocking sword light. As the sword light slashed out, the strands of light began to crumble. In an instant, thousands of strands of light exploded. The sword light did not stop and continued to slash at the 2 Guangqian royal envoys. The 2 Guangqian royal envoys were shocked. They turned into rays of light and used all their strength to block the attack. Boom! Boom! After 2 loud explosions, the 2 Guangqian royal envoys retreated like kites with their strings cut. The light on their bodies dimmed and their auras withered significantly. Light controller. This is the strength of a light controller. One of the Guangqian royal envoys shouted in shock. His eyes were filled with shock. The other members of the Yuanguang race, such as Yuan Jiuji and Yuan Baji, were also shocked. It was not just the Yuanguang race. Lu Ming and the rest of the quasi-saint race were also shocked. Peak Divine Master. Yi Immortal has broken through to the Peak Divine Master level. Dandan exclaimed. How can it be so fast? Logically speaking, it would take a long time for one to break through from the 9th level of the Divine Master realm to the Peak Divine Master level. Even an exceptional prodigy or a reincarnator like Yi Immortal wouldn't be able to do it so quickly. Tang Jun also exclaimed in shock. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. She was also a reincarnator and had been at the origin realm in her past life. She knew how difficult it was to break through from the 9th level of the Divine Master realm to the Peak Divine Master level. No matter how exceptional a prodigy was, it was impossible to break through in one go. Even a reincarnator was the same. Xian Yanqing was also a reincarnator. Her cultivation had reached the 9th level of the Divine Master realm nearly 1,000 years ago. However, she had not broken through after so many years. Yi Immortal, a Peak Divine Master. Lu Ming whispered. He exchanged glances with Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Bone Devil, and the others. Their eyes were filled with solemnity. Yi Immortal was a 9th-tier Divine Master, and his fighting prowess was terrifying. He was equivalent to a Guangqian emissary, or even slightly stronger. In that case, Yi Immortal, who had broken through to the peak of the Divine Master level, was undoubtedly even more terrifying. Just now, with just one move, he was able to beat back and injure 2 Guangqian royal envoys. Bang! Bang! After defeating and injuring the 2 Guangqian princes, the Yi Immortal stepped on the iron chains and dashed toward the second mountain like a ray of light. Many people from the Primordial Light tribe were terrified as they retreated involuntarily. Get into formation. 21 people joint attack formation. 9 Origin roared. Suddenly, the figures of 21 experts beside him flickered and set up a joint attack formation. The formation transformed into a battle sword and slashed towards Yi Immortal. Heavenly Sword, Star Explosion. Yi Immortal's deep voice rang out as he slashed out with his sword. A huge star appeared in the void. The huge star rapidly expanded and collided with the battle sword formed by the Primordial Light tribe's joint attack formation. Then, with a loud boom, it exploded, creating a terrifying destructive force. The battle sword formed by the joint attack formation trembled continuously and was sent flying backward. What terrifying power! Everyone's hearts pounded wildly. Yi Immortal's move was obviously an Genesis art. Moreover, it was a Genesis art that had never been used before. Its power was far greater than the Heavenly Sword, Moon's End and Sun's End. Obviously, the first 2 moves were more suited for group attacks, while this move was unparalleled in single-target attacks. It was very likely that Yi Immortal couldn't use it before and would only be able to use it after he broke through to the peak of the Divine Master level. To be able to beat back the 21 people joint attack formation of the Primordial Light tribe, its power was beyond imagination. The Patriarch is invincible. The people of the Heavenly Human tribe were so excited that they were trembling all over. Who in the world could compare to a Divine Master with such battle prowess? Yi Immortal seized the opportunity and rushed over the iron chains. Heavenly Sword, Moon's End. Yi Immortal's cold voice rang out as he slashed out with his sword. A fragmentary moonlight appeared in the void and scattered thousands of rays of light, enveloping all the people of the Primordial Light tribe. Every ray of light was a terrifying sword light. All the experts of the Primordial Light tribe felt their hair stand on end as they sensed a fatal threat. Their light beam hair danced wildly. More than 1,000 of the Primordial Light tribe's light beam hair danced together and intertwined to form an impenetrable defensive wall. However, the cultivation levels of the Primordial Light tribe members present were uneven, so the power of their light beam hair was also uneven. Some of the stronger ones were naturally able to block Yi Immortal's attack, but some of the weaker ones couldn't. Their light beam hair was pierced through, and their bodies were also pierced by the sword light. In an instant, at least 100 Primordial Light tribe members were killed. The other Primordial Light tribe members were terrified and frantically retreated. Yi Immortal is really decisive in his actions. He's really a formidable person. Even Lu Ming couldn't help but sigh. Although the Yi Immortal and the Yi Immortal had a hostile relationship, he had to admit that the Yi Immortal was a formidable enemy. He was decisive in his actions and had killed hundreds of Primordial Light Tribe members without hesitation. He had offended the Primordial Light Tribe by doing so. The Primordial Light Tribe would definitely seek revenge in the future. However, Lu Ming also understood that regardless of whether it was the Heavenly Human Tribe, the Quasi-Immortal Tribe, the Heaven Destroyer, or the demons, they were all hostile to the creatures of the Forbidden Lands. Even if they didn't offend them, they would sooner or later fight to the death. Even if you didn't kill them, they would still kill you. However, understanding the reason was one thing, and daring to act so decisively was another thing altogether. Most people would think that they were lucky and wouldn't dare to offend the creatures of the Forbidden Lands. After repelling the Primordial Light Tribe members, the Yi Immortal's figure flashed and rushed toward the 15 battle sabers. It was obvious that the Yi Immortal was targeting the 15 battle sabers. A 15-man joint attack array was very useful. If 15 peak almighty people were to set up the array, their combat strength would be comparable to a Guangxin Imperial envoys or even higher. In this era where the origin source didn't exist, an elite at the level of the Lord of Heaven was already considered a top-notch combat strength. They could influence the outcome of a battle, let alone a Guangxin Imperial envoy's combat strength. A Guangxin Imperial envoy was the backbone of a force and the core combat strength of a force. His value was self-evident. Otherwise, the Yi Immortal wouldn't have taken the risk of offending the Primordial Light Tribe and acted decisively. Stop him! Stop him! Set up the array! Set up the array! Yuan Jiuji and Yuan Baji shouted at the same time. The 3 9-man joint attack arrays that had been battling the silver-eyed Yin-Yang Corps suddenly changed directions and attacked the Yi Immortal. Celestial Sword, Destruction of the Sun. The Yi Immortal slashed out with his sword again and a huge sun appeared in the sky, shining brightly. End of chapter. Chapter 4880. Yi Immortal had used a Genesis technique from the get-go. A great sun sprinkled down rays of light. Every ray of light was a ray of sword chi that was incomparably hot and capable of incinerating all things. This kind of attack was a large-scale attack, and it was an indiscriminate attack. In an instant, it enveloped the 3 9-man joint attack formations and the silver-eyed Yin Corps. Clang, clang, clang. The 3 9-man formations continuously clashed with the scorching sword chi. In the blink of an eye, they had clashed hundreds of times. In the end, 2 of the formations were knocked back and their light dimmed. The people who had set up the formations vomited blood and were seriously injured. There was also a formation that was attacked by 9 people, but it was even more miserable. It was directly destroyed, and the 9 people who set up the formation were pierced by thousands of sword lights and died. The carrier used by the 9-man formation wasn't damaged, and Yi Immortal put it away with a wave of his hand. The protective black chi around the silver-eyed Yin corpse was also pierced and hundreds of tiny sword holes appeared on its body. However, the silver-eyed Yin corpse's vitality was extremely tenacious and it didn't die. Black chi surged around its body and the sword holes rapidly healed. Damn it! Yuan Jiuji's eyes turned red. The 9-man formation just now was his subordinate. Even in the Primordial Light Clan, a 9-man formation carrier was very precious. It was a huge loss for them to fall into Yi Immortal's hands. In Yuan Jiuji's heart, Yi Immortal's hatred was second only to Lu Ming's. At this moment, Yi Wuxian was about to make a move and take away the 15 battle blades. But then, a giant sword light slashed towards him. It was the 21 people under Yuan Jiuji's command. Facing an array set up by 21 people, even the current Yi Wuxian had no choice but to focus on the battle. Boom! The 2 sides clashed again, shaking the entire chi channel. Space shook and the mountain quaked even more violently. At the same time, the 21 people under Yuan Baji's command flickered and set up a great formation. That's right, Yuan Baji also needed a 21-man joint attack formation. Multicolored lights soared into the sky, condensing into a huge battle saber. His battle saber sliced through the air and headed straight for Yi Immortal. Boom! Yi Immortal attacked with all his might and clashed with the giant saber. Even Yi Xiao couldn't match up to the two 21-man array formations. He couldn't help but retreat. The terrifying power directly destroyed the other palace below. That is, many people's eyes suddenly widened. That was because there were also balls of light in the destroyed palace. There were a total of 12 balls of light, and within each ball of light was a spear covered with runes. It was the carrier of another joint attack formation. This mountain was different from the previous one. On the mountain peak in front of them, there was a huge palace that was connected together. The palaces on the mountain peak were separated. There were at least a dozen of them scattered across the vast mountain peak. Could it be that in every palace, there was a carrier of a joint attack formation? Many people's hearts raced. If that was the case, it would be invaluable. Even the primordial light race, which had a rich heritage, was tempted. It was too difficult to refine a joint attack formation. Not only were the materials extremely rare, but the refining requirements were also shockingly high. If there were really so many joint attack formation carriers, it would be a huge treasure trove. Collect! Yi Wuxiu roared and grabbed downwards with his palm. A gigantic claw was formed and enveloped the 12 spears below. As he channeled his energy, the light that enveloped the 12 spears exploded. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, the 12 spears flew towards Yi Immortal and were collected by Yi Immortal. You're courting death. Kill him. Yuan Baji roared. The two 21-man joint attack formations formed a saber and a sword respectively and attacked Yi Immortal. Both sides were in a pinnacle battle. Yuan Baji and his men appeared above the 15 battle sabers and began to collect them. Yuan Baji's face was a little gloomy. He also wanted the 15 battle saber formation carriers, but he had lost a lot of his men and couldn't compete with Yuan Baji. Go, follow me. Yuan Jiuji gave a low cry and led his subordinates, charging towards another hall. Perhaps, each of the palaces here had a joint attack formation as a carrier. For the sake of the formation carriers, he couldn't care less about guarding the iron chain. Roar, roar, roar. At this moment, several angry roars came from the other palaces on the mountain. Following that, a few burly figures rushed out from a few palaces. These figures were shrouded in thick black qi. They were fierce and had a monstrous aura. They were absolute Yin corpses, and they were all silver-eyed Yin corpses. There were actually so many silver-eyed Yin corpses on this mountain. There were already 4 of them, plus the previous one, there were 5 of them. Silver-eyed Yin corpses were equivalent to Guangxin royal envoys. Yuan Baji and Yuan Baji's faces changed drastically when so many of them appeared at once. Set up the formation and meet the enemy. Yuan Baji roared. Yuan Yu was the only Guangxin royal envoy left under his command. He definitely couldn't stop them and had to rely on the joint attack formation. At the same time, Yuan Baji also ordered his men to attack. A big chaotic battle broke out. Good opportunity. In the distance, Lu Ming and the others looked at each other, revealing a tempted look. Previously, they were all sitting on the mountain and watching the tigers fight. Now, it was time to make a move. They were very tempted by those joint attack formations. They were too important for the current Heaven Destroyer. Among the current major forces in the universe, there was no need to mention the creatures in the forbidden areas. They had existed since the last era and had a deep foundation. They themselves had a large number of joint attack formations. The quasi-saint race also had a deep foundation and also had joint attack formations. Even the celestial race had now obtained several sets of joint attack formations. On the Heaven Destroyer's side, except for Lu Ming and the others who had obtained a set of joint attack formations, the others didn't know the situation. Perhaps they would gain nothing. If this continued, the gap between the strength of the Heaven Destroyer and the other forces would become bigger and bigger. The competition between forces relied on the overall strength. The overall strength must be strong. Relying on the strength of a few people, they could win for a while, but in the end, it wouldn't last long. For example, Lu Ming defeated his opponent, but the overall strength of the Heaven Destroyer wasn't strong enough and couldn't occupy the vast universe ruins. Only when the overall strength was strong could they occupy a larger territory and obtain more resources. Little Qing, Autumn Moon, Dandan, you guys enter the Chaos Ring first. Bone Demon and I will rush over. When the time is right, I will let you guys out. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to everyone and then let them enter the Chaos Ring first. He and Bone Demon's figure flashed and rushed towards the iron chain like two streams of light. Chapter 4881. As soon as Lu Ming and the Bone Demon appeared, the people of the Primordial Light tribe noticed them. However, they were busy dealing with the silver-eyed Een corpse, so how could they have the strength to stop Lu Ming and the Bone Demon? Soon, Lu Ming and the Bone Demon passed through the iron chain and rushed in another direction, disappearing in front of everyone in the blink of an eye. Seeing Lu Ming and the Bone Demon rushing over, the people of the Quasi-Saint tribe also showed signs of interest. In the end, Song Qiong also rushed toward the iron chain with the expert comparable to the Guangqin Imperial Envoy and several joint attack formations. They also successfully passed through the iron chain and entered the second mountain peak. As for the others, they continued to stay on the first mountain peak. This was because the battle ahead was too intense. There were too many experts participating, and they were all at the level of the Guangqin Imperial Envoy. Even the strongest existence like the Lord of Heaven would find it difficult to intervene. Wouldn't the others be courting death if they went over? Lu Ming and the Bone Demon were very fast. They quickly left the battlefield and appeared in front of a palace hall. Lu Ming moved his mind and released Dandan from the primitive ring. There are no formations in the palace hall. Dandan sensed carefully and said. Then, Lu Ming, the Bone Demon, and Dandan restrained their auras and rushed into the palace hall. They arrived at the center of the palace hall unimpeded and found something. There were 12 light balls wrapped around 12 battle swords. Each sword was covered with runes. They were the carriers of joint attack formations. Lu Ming, the Bone Demon, and Dandan were overjoyed. In every palace here, there was indeed a carrier for a joint attack formation. Fortunately, there was no danger in this palace hall and they didn't encounter any extreme Een corpse. Without hesitation, the three of them immediately broke the light balls and put away the 12 sword-type joint attack formations. A 12-person joint attack formation could be brought back to the Heaven Destroyer. If 12 peak Divine Master experts were to set up the formation, the Heaven Destroyer would have the strength of a Guangqin Imperial Envoy. Even if it wasn't as strong, the difference wouldn't be too big. The three of them were excited. They walked around the palace hall and confirmed that there were no other joint attack formations. Then, they left and went to another palace hall. The mountain peak was very large. Even the top of the mountain was very wide. Dozens of palaces were scattered around the mountain peak, and there was still some distance between them. After a while, Lu Ming, the Bone Demon, and Dandan appeared in front of another palace hall. Dandan sensed for a moment, but there were still no fluctuations of the array formation. The three of them walked in without worry. Sure enough, at the center of the hall, they found another joint attack formation carrier. There were still 12 carriers. It seemed that there were very few carriers of formations like the 15 sabers from before. However, there was a figure sitting cross-legged below the 12 combined attack formation carriers. Suddenly, the figure turned its head and looked at Lu Ming and the others. Its silver eyes were filled with a cold and brutal aura. Its body was covered in black gas. It was a silver-eyed Een corpse. The silver-eyed Een corpse roared. The black gas around its body surged. It pounced at Lu Ming and the others. Its sharp claws tore through the air. Its power was terrifying. Dandan threw out a handful of blue firestone powder. The blue firestone powder stuck to the silver-eyed Een corpse. The blue firestone powder and the black gas around the silver-eyed Een corpse collided, creating a sizzling sound. Lu Ming and the Bone Demon had already charged out, attacking the silver-eyed Een corpse together. Lu Ming and the Bone Demon's battle strength were not weaker than the silver-eyed Een corpse. With the addition of the blue firestone divine weapon, they could restrain the silver-eyed Een corpse. No matter how strong the silver-eyed Een corpse's vitality was, it was not a match for Lu Ming and the Bone Demon. In just a few moves, the silver-eyed Yin corpse was at a disadvantage. Lu Ming's spear pierced through its body. The energy of the blue firestone exploded from the silver-eyed Yin corpse's body. However, the silver-eyed Yin corpse was not ordinary. The blue firestone had a great restraining effect on ordinary extreme Yin corpses, but it had a great effect on the silver-eyed Yin corpse. The silver-eyed Yin corpse's black gas exploded, constantly wearing down the flames of the blue firestone. Unfortunately, the bone demon's attack also arrived. The purple-gold battle axe almost chopped off the silver-eyed Yin corpse's head, causing the silver-eyed Yin corpse to be even more seriously injured. Lu Ming and the bone demon's attacks did not stop. They were like a storm, constantly attacking the silver-eyed Yin corpse. Although the silver-eyed Yin corpse resisted with all its might, after more than 10 moves, it was still unable to resist. Its body was cut into several pieces, and it was completely killed. After killing the silver-eyed Yin corpse, they put away the carrier of the joint attack array. Then, the three of them quickly left this place and headed for another hall. However, this time, when the three of them approached the hall, a terrifying aura pressed down on them. Lu Ming and the bone demon were fine, but Dandan felt as if he had been struck by lightning. His expression changed greatly, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Fortunately, Lu Ming and the bone demon came to Dandan's aid in time, blocking most of the power of the aura. They also pulled Dandan back quickly. A figure appeared at the entrance of the hall. His eyes were like stars, and his killing intent was as cold as frost. Yi Immortal! The figure that appeared from the hall was Yi Immortal. Lu Ming, I've been waiting for you for so long. The Yi Immortal said coldly. It was obvious that the Yi Immortal had used some unknown method to escape from the primordial light race's experts and arrived at this hall in advance. He had taken away the joint attack array carrier in the hall and laid an ambush here. His goal was to lure Lu Ming and the others into the trap. It was obvious that he had seen Lu Ming and the bone demon arrive at this mountain. Get into formation. Lu Ming, the bone demon, used the joint attack array to block him. Dandan shouted. In the blink of an eye, Yi Wuxiu appeared before Dandan had even finished speaking. Sword of the heavens, destruction of the sun. The Yi Immortal used a terrifying Genesis technique the moment he attacked. A great sun appeared, and endless rays of light scattered down. Endless sword light pierced towards Lu Ming, the bone demon, and Dandan. Dandan, step back. Lu Ming shouted and stepped forward, shielding Dandan behind him. He thrust his palm forward, and a continent appeared above them. Then, the battle god's spear danced wildly in the air, forming an airtight shield. The bone demon also attacked with all his strength, forming layers of defense. His body rapidly grew in size, using his body to block the sword light that filled the sky. PFF PFF PFF. The continent was instantly pierced through. Countless tiny sword holes appeared on it, and then it crumbled. The scorching sword light didn't stop, and it collided with Lu Ming and the bone demon. A series of collisions rang out, and the two were sent flying back. The bone demon was slightly better off. The Yi Immortal didn't use a spirit attack, and he withstood it with his sturdy immortal body. Lu Ming wasn't as well off. He spat out a few mouthfuls of blood, and his face was pale. Several parts of his body had been pierced by the sword light. Get into formation, get into formation. Dandan roared. The Yi Immortal was too terrifying. Lu Ming and the bone demon were no match for him. Even escaping was a problem. Chapter 4882. When Yi Immortal was a 9th-tier divine master, his battle prowess was already at the level of a Guangqian royal envoy. Coupled with his top-tier divine weapons, his battle prowess was extremely terrifying. After breaking through to the peak divine master level, his battle prowess skyrocketed. There was already a huge gap between a 9th-tier divine master and a peak divine master. Even if Lu Ming and Gu Mo joined forces, there was still a huge gap between them and Yi Immortal. They had to set up a 10-man joint attack formation to put up a fight. Lu Ming didn't hesitate. With a wave of his hand, Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon, Bubbles, and the others appeared from the Chaos Ring. As soon as they appeared, They did not delay at all and immediately began to set up a formation. The formation of 10 people combined to form a huge figure. The figure wore black armor covered with barbs and held a halberd in its hand. It looked very ferocious. It was very different from the joint attack formation the heavenly human race had obtained. At the same time, Ye Immortal's attack arrived. This time, Ye Immortal used an even more terrifying Genesis technique. It was a single-target attack, Sword of the Heavens, Star Explosion. A giant star pressed down on Lu Ming and the others. The giant star constantly surged, containing a terrifying amount of energy. Lu Ming and the others controlled the black-armored warriors to quickly retreat. At the same time, they swung their halberds with all their might. Boom! The halberd struck the star, causing it to explode with destructive energy. The black-armored warriors' bodies shook violently as they frantically retreated. The people who had set up the formation, such as Dandan, Bubbles, and Ling Yue, paled and almost vomited blood. However, Ye Immortal's attack was finally blocked. What a powerful attack! Lu Ming and the others were secretly shocked. One must know that when they set up the joint attack formation, they could easily suppress Guangxin royal envoys like Yuan Yu. At that time, Dandan, Bubbles, and the others hadn't reached the 8th-tier Divine Master level yet. Their joint attack formation wasn't as powerful as it was now. Even though the combined attack array was stronger now, it still felt like it was no match for Ye Immortal. This showed just how strong the Ye Immortal was. Go! After blocking Ye Immortal's attack, Lu Ming and the others controlled the black-armored warriors to quickly retreat. Although the joint attack array could withstand Ye Immortal's attack, it was only temporary. The joint attack array consumed a lot of energy, especially for Dandan, Bubbles, Tang Jun, Ling Yue, and Wanxin. They were only 8th-level Divine Masters, so their energy would be quickly depleted. They had to shake off the Ye Immortal before they ran out of energy. You want to leave? Ye Immortal's eyes flashed with cold, murderous intent. His desire to kill Lu Ming was stronger than anyone else's. There was already a taboo sword ancestor. He did not want another Lu Ming to appear. The stronger the taboo sword ancestor was, the greater the impact it would have on the heavenly human tribe. Ye Immortal stepped forward and chased after Lu Ming and the others like a stream of light. He swung his sword, sending terrifying rays of sword light toward the black-armored warriors. However, these were not Genesis techniques. They were just ordinary attacks, so Lu Ming and the others easily blocked them. Even Ye Immortal couldn't use Genesis techniques all the time. Using Genesis techniques consumed a lot of energy. Even though Ye Immortal's control over his own energy had reached the pinnacle and he wouldn't waste any energy, he couldn't use Genesis techniques all the time. He would only use them when he was close enough. The two sides fought as they walked. In the blink of an eye, they were thousands of miles away. Sword of the Heavenly Human, Star Explosion. When the two sides were close enough, Ye Immortal used another terrifying Genesis technique. A star crashed toward the black-armored warriors, filled with terrifying destructive power. Lu Ming and the others could only meet the attack head-on. Boom! After the collision, the black-armored warriors were sent flying again. Their bodies were trembling, and the light on their bodies had dimmed significantly. This is bad. The hearts of Lu Ming and the others sank. If this continued, they wouldn't be able to last more than a few moves before Dandan and the others ran out of energy. Once their energy was depleted, the array would collapse. But from the looks of it, it would be very difficult for them to shake off Ye Immortal before the array collapsed. Let's enter the crack, Lu Ming transmitted to the others. They had to give it their all. He wanted to enter the crack and use the heavenly abode light in the depths of his chi channels to shake off Ye Immortal. Although it wasn't a good time to enter the depths of his chi channels, the heavenly abode light in the depths of his chi channels seemed to have gone berserk when the giant bird charged out. Dense heavenly abode light would rush out from the depths of his chi channels from time to time, making it very dangerous. However, they had the armor refined by Dandan, so they might be able to give it a try. Okay, let's do it. Xian Yanqing, Qiu Yu, Bone Devil, and the others agreed through voice transmission. Swish! The black-armored warriors charged towards one side of the mountain. There was a crack there. Ye Immortal quickly chased after them. After exchanging a few moves, Yi Immortal used another Genesis technique, Star Explosion. This time, Dandan, Tangjun and the others violently vomited blood. The array was on the verge of collapsing, and they were in imminent danger. However, they weren't far from the crack at this time. They controlled the black armored war envoy to charge into the crevice, then quickly rushed down the crevice. Trying to use the heavenly abode light to stop me? That's a good idea, but don't even think about it. Yi Immortal said coldly. Without any hesitation, he followed Lu Ming and the others into the crack. Not long after Lu Ming and the others charged into the crack, Lu Ming and the others could no longer maintain the array and were forced to scatter. With a wave of his hand, Lu Ming sent Xian Yanqing, Autumn Moon and the others into the Chaos Ring, leaving only him and Guimo outside. Wearing the armor left by Dandan, they frantically charged forward. A gush of heavenly abode divine light rushed over. Lu Ming and Bone Demon passed through it. Behind them, Yi Immortal did not stop. He continuously slashed out with his sword, creating dazzling sword lights that forcefully split apart the heavenly abode light and followed closely behind Lu Ming and the others. Yi Immortal was very determined to kill Lu Ming and would not give up so easily. Even after several heavenly abode lights, Yi Immortal did not give up. This guy really doesn't want to live anymore, Guimo said unhappily. He was a little wary of Yi Immortal. Yi Immortal's soul attack was very terrifying and could be said to be Gumo's nemesis. Gumo's physical defense was completely useless. Let's charge towards the area with the densest heavenly abode light, Lu Ming said. The two of them descended with all their might, flying towards the area with the densest heavenly abode light. However, Yi Wuxiu's strength was truly formidable. Unless it was an extremely dense heavenly paradise godlight, Yi Wuxiu would be able to forcefully break through any ordinary dense heavenly paradise godlight. After chasing for a while, Yi Immortal still did not give up. However, with the interference of the heavenly abode light, it was not easy for him to catch up to Lu Ming and the others. Both parties maintained a certain distance. Suddenly, a beastly roar rang out, making Lu Ming's hair stand on end. Chapter 4883. The roar of a beast actually rang out from the depths of the meridian. It was truly frightening. They could not help but think of the huge beast condensed from the heavenly abode light. Was there another one below after the one that had flown out earlier? Not only did Lu Ming's expression change, but even Yi Immortal's expression changed. His body tensed up involuntarily. Another roar rang out. Following that, purplish-golden heavenly abode light surged towards Lu Ming's group. Within the dense heavenly abode light was a huge beast. The beast resembled a lion, but its entire body was purplish-golden. It seemed to be completely condensed from the heavenly abode light and gave off a terrifying aura. Lu Ming, Guimo, and Yi Immortal were all shocked. It really was a huge beast condensed from the heavenly abode light. Enter the Chaos Ring. Lu Ming roared. With a wave of his hand, he entered the Chaos Ring with Guimo. Only the Chaos Ring remained, floating in the air. Yi Immortal's eyes flickered. Now was the best time to take down Lu Ming. As long as he had the Chaos Ring in his hands, Lu Ming's group would be like turtles in a jar. However, the huge beast condensed from the heavenly abode light was rapidly charging over. The distance between the two parties was getting closer. Yi Immortal did not take action in the end. He turned around and quickly retreated. The battle prowess of a huge beast condensed from the heavenly abode light was just too terrifying. Even reciprocity experts would die if they came, let alone him. This was because these huge beasts were not living creatures. They were condensed from extremely dense heavenly abode light. There was no difference in their cultivation level, so they were not affected by the origin tribulation. Roar, roar. The huge beast constantly roared as the heavenly abode light constantly flashed. This made Yi Immortal even more shocked. He did not dare to stay any longer. After flying for a while, he madly charged upwards. Strangely enough, the giant beast only continued to roar and did not continue to pursue the Yi Immortal. After roaring for a while, the Yi Immortal was nowhere to be seen. The giant beast turned around and flew towards the Great Desolation Ring. Nestle were in trouble. Could it be that this paradise mythical beast has its eyes on the Great Desolate Ring? Lu Ming had been paying attention to the situation outside the Great Desolate Ring. At this moment, he could not help but howl in grief. Heavenly Abode Beast was a name that Lu Ming had given himself. He had originally thought that the Grotto Heaven Beast would chase after the Yi Immortal if he hid in the Chaos Ring. He had not expected that the Grotto Heaven Beast would not chase after the Yi Immortal. Instead, it had stopped to pay attention to the Chaos Ring. What a blunder! The Paradise Mythical Beast circled the Great Desolate Ring and observed it for a while. Then, its enormous body began to shrink rapidly. Eventually, the beast form of the Paradise God Beast began to morph rapidly into a plant form. This plant was only half a meter tall. Its roots had taken root in the void and were slithering around the Great Desolate Ring. Above the head of this plant, there was a small plant that looked exactly the same as this one. It was flying back and forth, and it was completely composed of energy. What the Lu Ming was tongue-tied and dumbfounded. How was this a Paradise God Beast? It was clearly a stalk of source-level divine herb. Moreover, it was an extremely high-grade source-level divine herb. It was a source-level divine herb that could run around. It turned out that the Paradise God Beast from before was just an illusion of this source-level divine herb to frighten people. Very good, Lu Ming's eyes shone with a fiery light. A source-level divine herb of this grade was priceless. He definitely could not miss it. He wondered if the Yi Immortal would be so angry that he would vomit blood if he knew about it. With a thought, Lu Ming immediately appeared outside the Great Desolate Ring. With a grab of his hand, a huge palm formed and grabbed at the source-level divine herb. However, the source-level divine herb was extremely fast. In a flash, it escaped from the range of Lu Ming's hand and flew towards the depths of the Qi channel as if it had been frightened. It was not easy to come across a stalk of high-level source-level divine medicine. How could Lu Ming miss it so easily? After putting away the ancient desolation ring, Lu Ming quickly chased after the UNG divine medicine. However, this source-level divine herb had obviously been nurtured in the depths of the Qi channel. It was very familiar with the terrain and was not afraid of the Paradise God Light. It continued to rush towards the area where the Paradise God Light was denser in an attempt to shake off Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming had the armor refined by Dandan and was also not afraid of the Paradise God Light. He continued to chase after the source-level divine herb. The two of them quickly arrived at the deepest part of the Qi channel. They were almost at the bottom of the core mountain. At this time, Lu Ming released Dandan, Bubbles, and the Bone Demon. He realized that it was very difficult for him to catch up to the source-level divine herb alone. He could only rely on Dandan, Bubbles, and the others to help. Space-time force. Bubbles made a move and used space-time force. The space-time in the area was affected and the source-level divine herb's speed immediately decreased. Seal. Dandan also quickly made a move and shot out a dense array of runes. Seeing such a high-grade source-level divine herb, Dandan was more active than anyone else and used all his strength. Runes appeared in the surrounding void and intertwined to form a sealing array that was about to seal the source-level divine herb. At the same time, Lu Ming and the Bone Demon also made a move. Energy surged and formed a barrier that was about to completely seal the source-level divine herb. The source-level divine herb shone with a dazzling light as it tried to break free. However, it was futile against the combined efforts of Lu Ming's group of four. In the end, this stalk of source-level divine medicine was sealed by Dandan with an array formation. Lu Ming grabbed it and held it in his hand. The soul-grade divine medicine was like a sentient being. It kept twisting its needles, and the roots at its roots kept twisting. What a rich life essence! What a rich origin imprint! Lu Ming sized it up carefully and discovered that this stalk of source-level divine medicine was no small matter. Lu Ming had also obtained source-level divine herbs in the past. In particular, he had obtained more than one source-level divine herb in the outskirts of the Qi channel. However, those source-level divine herbs paled in comparison to this one. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. A fortuitous encounter. It really is a fortuitous encounter. Not only is this origin-level God pill extremely useful to reciprocity experts, but it's also extremely beneficial to peak God masters. It can greatly increase the speed and chances of breaking through to reciprocity. Bone Demon stared at the source-level divine herb as the soul fire in his eye sockets constantly pulsed. Danden's eyes shone as he stared at the source-level divine herb. He almost drooled. Ordinary source-level divine herbs were extremely useful to reciprocity experts, but they were useless to peak godmasters. This was because peak godmasters found it difficult to absorb the medicinal effects and origin imprints of source-level divine herbs. However, the best source-level divine herbs were different from ordinary source-level divine herbs. This sort of top-class source-level medicine was extremely easy to absorb and refine. Even a peak God Lord would be able to refine it. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.